Never said once. You weren't sure.
Yeah, but
But what?
through a wall, you know? I know that's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Blackbird 91. Listen, I've got an hour on me. Listen, you know I like to open up the platform for you guys to have your say. Of course, this episode was a little bit of carnage. Ashley married Tyler. We had also Ramses leave Marissa. And Garrett married Taylor. And they married on the exact same day, or at least the 13th, as their parents did. It must be a sign that they're meant to be together, okay? Look, I can't lie to you. I just wanted to look good on this camera, and I thought I'd come again. But you know what? I thought I'd open it in a special way, right? Let's rumble a little bit. I want some honest opinions. I want people that are opinionated, without being rude, about this. Because Love is Blind always kicks off in a particular way where we create factions and we create these, how do I say, we create sides, right? And I've been watching Twitter. I've been seeing some people's reviews, and I've been seeing people's different ideas of what they thought it was. And there are many different schools of thought, a little bit as well, right? And so there's a lot of, I love that comment there, a lot of polarizing that tends to happen. And so I titled it that are Tyler, Stefan, Ramses, are they really villains? You know, or is it that the women are picking badly? Or is it a bit of both as well? Is there more to the conversation we need to have about this, right? Because is there any responsibility, and I like the word responsibility here, on the ladies to pick appropriately? Just like, I mean, the men are going to be demons. These men might be demons for some people. But is there responsibility on the ladies too to pick correctly? Just like it is on the men, Ramses and Stefan and Tyler as well, that if they're not ready, also there's responsibility. If you know you're not ready, here to come and marry, it's your responsibility also to make sure that you don't come in the show and do some nonsense. Okay, all right? That's also another aspect as well, right? Now, obviously, some people have lied, so I'm not going to pretend as if they haven't lied. You know what I'm saying to you? So we're going to have a real honest conversation. There's a link in the chat if you want to use it. You want to be part of the conversation. Maybe you've been burning all day. You know, you've been wanting to say your piece. You've been wanting to add your little 2 pence onto the screen as well, right? And I'd love to hear your perspective. What is your thought process to this situation? What are your thoughts on this latest episode? Are the men villains? Or do the women need to be accountable for the choices that they are making? You know what I mean? I was watching Twitter, and I've got El Cid behind, and I've got a few others coming in about a few minutes. I was on Twitter, and I saw how many think pieces there were for Ramses. Everybody was like, poor Marissa, Ramses is a demon, he's this, he's that, he's that, he's this. And, you know, it's interesting that we see it that way, right? That we see it one way. When I believe that there is more than one way to look at a situation, I think we need to go from all angles. I think sometimes we do make some men demons, when in reality as well, why are we picking demons? Right? Like if I pick the wrong girl, like I look at Safari and I look at Erica Mena, I don't feel sorry for Safari. Safari knew what he was doing when he picked Erica Mena. He knew. Okay? If you're getting crazy now, you know. Okay? I'm still recovering from my crazy that I chose. And the people keep me accountable. You know what I'm saying to you? So if they're going to keep me accountable, with keep the ladies accountable. That's what my thought process is. So if you've got an opinion, we'd love to hear your thoughts on today. And get your perspective as well. Look, I'm looking sexy today. I can't lie to you. All right? I'm looking like Ghost. I am looking like I'm ready to make $1 million, okay, as well. So I'd love to hear your perspective and conversation. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Click on that bell button for notification of uploads. Want to let you guys know, everybody's opinion is their own opinion, okay? My opinion is my opinion. Everyone else's opinion is their opinion, okay? All right? So I want to let you guys know, whoever comes on and they give their opinion, it does not mean it's my opinion. Everybody's opinion is their own opinion. You know what I'm saying to you? So if you're ready, click on that link and get involved in the conversation. I've got El Cid, and I'm going to bring her up as well. Hello, El Cid. How you doing? You right?
I'm good. That disclaimer was for me, huh?
For you and anyone else who's going to come on. I don't need them coming for me. You know what I'm saying to you? It's crazy. This season has been actually quite interesting. I can't lie to you. You know, there has been a lot of eventful events. you know, and obviously now we've watched it up to the 12th episode, and weddings have been pretty much done. We have two couples that were left who got married in the end: Tyler, Ashley, Garrett, and Taylor. But there has been a story weaved in between that time. We had Leo, we had Stefan, we had Ramses, we've had, well, Bowden doesn't count, but Bowden's got some potential things at the outside, so that's another story for another day. But also we've got Tyler as well, right? Seemingly the men this season, as I've been seeing on the internet, is all the men, especially the black men, did not represent, and they are villains. Total villains. I want to know your thought process, first of all, to that question. Elsa, do you agree? Are the men this season villains? The ones that I mentioned, are they the villains this season?
Well, first I need you to define villain. What's the definition of villain?
The bad guy. The evil one. The one that is sinister, intentionally trying to hurt people. You know, the people's person they want to hate.
I think some of the men are can be in the category of villain, but is the man the villain or is his behavior villainous? So that's where I'm kind of, you know, it's kind of the hate the sin, not the sinner part of it. I'm trying to evolve to. I'm not always there, but I can see how people can see the gentleman as villains. You know, it's not like it's villains we haven't seen before. I just think it's on a bigger scale. Netflix is showing us a villain, showing us the behind the scenes of the villain, showing us the lady, because I'm sorry, a lot of us, not all of us, a lot of women have put on blinders and were the Ashley. A lot of women, you know, do end up with a man who leaves and has a family elsewhere. Women are with men that they don't, or men are with women who don't know exactly all that their partner is craving, like Stephen. And then some people are with folks who don't want to get married again and going to use that and say, I want to be sure, when you're probably scared of commitment. So for me, it's like, is it the man that's the villain or is his behavior villainous? You like to talk about behavior. And a lot of villainous behavior going on. I'm sorry. I thought Atlanta was wild. DC is just like, oh, hold my beer. This is the Commonwealth. This is the Commonwealth. This is the District of Columbia. We got you beat. So for me, you know, because you could put Tim in there, but Tim would be a mini villain. You know, the talk with the dad was kind of villainous behavior to me, but I don't know what pressure is behind the scenes to actually continue to do that. But I've been seeing a lot of other, you know, pages where the lady's behavior is seen as villainous because, you know, it can't be, the men can't continue to do this if there is not a lady condoning or allowing the behavior as well. So, you know, there's a balance there. It's either ladies got to wake up or we got to be able to look past somebody's representative, because the pod is a representative pod. You got to ask some deeper questions, but it's hard. It's hard to determine in 10 days if this person, you want to see them and wish to accept their proposal.
Good points, Elsa. Jay, talk to me. Welcome to the conversation. It's good to have someone on the panel. We appreciate you. What's your thoughts? Are the men the villains this season? Are the ladies needing to have a better accountability and choose better discernment? What's your viewpoint on this?
Hi, Kojo. Hi, Elson. Hey, chat.
Love the energy.
I won't say the men as a whole are villainous. I just wrote that Tyler is the villain because he came to deceive. I mean, he admitted that he did not disclose on his application that he had children, and I feel like that has farther reaching implications more than just, okay, I have kids. It messes up the relationship with the children's mother. It has financial implications for their household. It goes a lot deeper. So to me, yes, everything that has come out with the ex-wife and how he went through the process to get custody and legal rights just to abandon them, that is super villainous.
I can't fight that. You know what I mean? I can't fight that. I can't find that in the sense of what you described. What you described in terms of the villainous behavior, in terms of lying. I think that's actually, yeah, I can't defend that. You know what I mean? Like when you are, that part for me was an intentional deceit, right? Where you didn't give the other person the opportunity to choose. So in that part, I do agree. I do think that there's some villainary behavior there. I don't want to pretend on that one. That one, there was some villainary behavior. In that moment when he does that, it's villainary behavior. He did come clean. He did come clean. Now, clean only to a degree. Because from what we hear, he's still lying. Okay. So he only came clean to a particular degree. At that point, do you feel like Ashley should be accountable for her choices that are made then at that point? Because once he comes clean and says that he was lying, because he was, let's be honest, is there some level of accountability that Ashley would need to take? Or is it still on Tyler because of the lie that he said?
That's a good question. I think the ball is in her court after he makes the disclosure to her. I agree with what you said in a previous video that she should have taken more time to digest and process what he just told her and do her own research. I mean, Marissa is in law school. I think she could have gotten her to do some research for her, possibly. Just anything. But I give her grace. Even though she ended up marrying her dad, like you said too. I still think it's Tyler's situation. I like to begin at the beginning, and I think it's definitely his situation. I think some of the other guys, they had some growing to do. They had some soul searching they could have done, but I don't. Other than maybe Steven, I don't think anyone came with any negative intention to cause problems. You know what I mean?
I agree with Jay because Tyler deceived on the application. And even though you may wish to forgive him if you're in Ashley's shoes, he deceived his way to get into the room. So it wouldn't settle with me very well that, the good Lord has blessed my union when you came in this tainted. From the beginning, you shouldn't have been here. So I just think that deception, it could be ingrained in him to do what he needs to do to get where he's going. Of course, we're doing this based on an edited show. I'm making this opinion based on, what we know in social media. I don't know this man, but if you're lying on the application, you shouldn't have been there. And it tells me that casting, even when you take applications, even if you reach out to people on Instagram, are you not rolling through their feed? Are you not running people's names through family court and civil court to see if they have judgments and financial stuff? Because as Relearn Your Truth said, the show does not provide prenups. So now you got to hope Ashley got a postnup. And if she didn't, his debts become her debts, like Hannah taught us in her financial literacy session. His debts become her debts. And now as his wife, his child support is now contingent upon not only his salary, but hers as well. So there's a whole lot of heavy lifting, even if he wanted to move it along with a new wife, with a new family. There's a whole lot of baggage he's bringing that they gotta both now lift. And I'm sorry, I'm not paying any man's bills that he even had before me.
I heard a rumor production knew he had kids, but they could not control whether he disclosed it in the pods or not, which I think is fair. What do y'all think?
That's fine, but he lied on the application. You see, I would have disqualified him for lying on the application, because if you're willing to lie to us, there's no truth that you may tell your potential significant other. The fact you lied on an application, it should be, under the penalty of perjury disclaimer on the bottom of that application. Not that you would always use it, but it should be there. 3 kids is a lot to ask any woman. 3 kids is a lot.
I'm definitely with you. I mean, I think, and I think, again, some accountability also on production here needs to be very firmly placed, as you guys are saying, because I think I feel like this is not just deceitful, but I think this is villainous on the production side of things, right? Because once he lies, right, I think he should be removed from the production, and then they say, listen, Ashley, it's up to you. You want to marry, but we're not subsidizing this. But this is when you realize that you're in a devil's playground, because this for them is great TV. Right? And that's your life. Because really and truly, he broke the rules, right? He lied on the application. We now find out he actually has 3 kids, right? If somebody's, and this, you know what, we've been seeing this on, Ready to Love and all this income seasons the last few years and everything, where people do stuff where it's just like, there should be some level of goodness in somebody's heart to be like, and I hope there was. Let me say that. I don't know for 100%. Let's hope there was somebody in that team that was like, Ashley, baby, he done lied now, we found out. Listen, I did a little bit of checking around, baby. He got more than 3 kids. Okay, whatever he's got, he's got judgments, he's got this, he's got that. You know what I'm saying to you? We looked up things, and we're now looking at this. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Right? And so that it gives Ashley the best opportunity to be able to step back. You know what I mean? I still thought she should still step back, but at least I hope somebody did reach out to her. Then it falls on Ashley, because then you've been given all the information. Of course, the show is still kind of liable in a sense, but not liable legally, but liable morally for allowing him to come through. I'm sure they've covered all their bases legally and how this makes it work and everything like that as well. But that for me is villainary behavior. Knowing that this guy's lied, has 3 kids, judgments as well. No one's doing any due diligence on such a big show. Y'all pay these people, you get money. It's you know what I'm saying to you, like, it is not difficult to do these searches. It's not difficult to buy these searches. You got normal public people buying these searches to find this information out. So there is actually no excuse for a big ass show who does research to find people that someone's not doing this. We're ruining lives. And so, yeah, for me personally, you're right. I think a prenup should have been proposed on the show. And I think they should always do that anyway. I don't know why they don't organize that for everybody who gets married on these shows, that there should be a prenup because you are getting married. But again, they might say, well, you agreed to the contract. You want to sell your soul? That's what you going to do. You just, hey, you know what I mean? But yeah.
I don't feel sorry for Ashley. I never did for any of the people, because you're a grown person. You make your decisions. I just think that in this instance, I think she worries me. She's just holding on so tight to the fairy tale she said she wanted. She is holding on tight to that fairy tale. And it worries me in that, I don't know Ashley's parents. All I know is the dad did not stick around. But what if, and this is if Ashley's dad did move on and had a family with somewhere else? Now, Ashley has potentially become, the person who the father left the mother for. I think she's in recycled behavior is what I like to say. Generations happen to recycle behavior, and I think it is, I don't want to say it's a tumultuous thing that she is used to. It's like people don't know it's raining because they're always standing in the rain. I don't think she sees and understands, because, for me, it's a matter of educating women who are out there dating. Now you need to educate yourself. Use Ashley as a way to educate yourself, because whether you know it or not, you better run that check. You better run that check, because the thing is, your salary is now intertwined. His debts are intertwined. It's even for men. You need to know how much debt the woman is carrying to bring into a relationship or into a marriage. It's not just one-sided. So there are tons of ways, and the court is just one way. Just pay the $20 and run a check on the person financially and see it. Heck, before I married my husband, we went to the sheriff's office and we ran that check just so I know you're not a criminal or got criminal behavior. It's something as simple as that. Let's go to lunch and let's go to the sheriff's office with your name and your social security number. But we have to get used to having these conversations and for it to be normalized, because back in the 80s, it became normalized to say, hey, when did you have your last checkup? When did you have your last testing done? But it's like now you have to add the financial piece.
I think that's where I put Ashley and Marissa in the same box as wanting a wedding and not knowing what it takes to maintain a marriage. I think we as women can sometimes lead with our daddy issues. And I think that's what Ashley is doing. She wanted, like Kojo said before, that validation of, I found my man. This is what this means. And regardless of what he's got going on, we gonna do this. And I just kept hearing her say that throughout the episode. And I'm like, when I married my husband, he had 3 children already. And trust me, it's uphill. So I felt for her up until the time she found out.
You're right, Jay. She said, now that I'm married, I've been solidified or something like that. And I was like, girl, do you need a marriage or the title of wife to, validate your existence? Is that the peak of the mountain? Because for me, it's like, there's a lot that goes along with that 4-letter word. There's a lot that goes along with being a husband. And if you don't go into it with your eyes wide open, or if you go into it with half of an information, then you could find, as you said, Jay, it can be an uphill battle. But as I said, I ain't sorry for Ashley no more. Ashley decided to lay in this bed with Tyler and all his drama. She could stay there. Let her be happy in the drama. But we as ladies, especially those in the dating realm, use Ashley as a point to say, hey, I don't wish to have something like this. How can I avoid it? How can I mitigate the risk? It's always risky, but how can I mitigate the risk? Because there is no way. I hear you got 3 children. There's no way I can bear your children and you have other children that you are not regularly seeing or paying support for. There is no way.
Do you think she's the reason he hasn't dealt with the children in a year?
No, I don't think Ashley is, and this is all edited show. I don't think Ashley is telling him don't see his children. I just think he's putting in his mind for him to have a fresh start, for him to have a new life. He's got to distance himself. I don't think she's telling him no. But the one thing as I know is that, those children have claim. Putting on a legal hat, those children have claim on anything that Tyler has in the future. Those children can lay claim. You're muted, Kojo.
Yeah, no, sorry, my bad. Thank you. Yes, we have Sean on the panel, Mr. Misogyny and Patriarchy Defender. So, Sean, welcome to the panel, brother.
Not defender, opposer of patriarchy and misogyny.
You're right, my bad. Thank you for the correction. Opposer. What's going on anyway, though, bro? All jokes aside, we are just talking about, obviously, the men being the villains of the show. We kind of nailed it more to Tyler being more of the villain because of the blatant line that he did on application and then line on the show. We kind of said that maybe the other men necessarily weren't trying to be a villain. They're not trying to be that. There are situations in real life where they've made mistakes or someone's made a mistake and it's just not worked out. It's not compatible, But I want to find out your perspective, because I know you had some strong opinions on some of the men this season, especially your boy Nick. But wanted to know your thoughts. So were the men villains this season, or do the ladies have to take some accountability for the choices that they're actually making? Could it be a bit of both? What's your thoughts?
Um, I mean, I think it's to varying degrees, right? Who did what? You know, I know I was listening into the conversation around Tyler and starting with him, 100%. Like, he is just completely problematic with his behavior and his intentions. And I think that's what for me seals the deal when it comes to him, because he has bad intentions and he's highly manipulative, right? Sometimes we do harm, but we don't intend to do harm. And sometimes we have ignorance and things that we just don't know. And we're kind of like unknowingly out here hurting people. But I'm sorry, I can't give Tyler any grace whatsoever. Because even at the foundation level, he entered into the process being extremely untruthful about a very big piece of what it takes. And I just feel like when it comes to Love is Blind, it's a process that you need to come through with pure intentions, because you know some of the other shows like Ready to Love we review, yeah, those are very, you know, those are relationships. And yeah, you should be purely going into those too, but the permanency of marriage, and when you're going to a place and saying I'm open to love and I want to be vulnerable and I want somebody else to be vulnerable and get to know me in a very condensed process, so I need to be more honest, more transparent than I've ever been, um and be willing to bear it all in the hopes of finding love. Yeah, he totally misrepresented himself and the process. So I think it's horrible that he did that, and highly manipulative that he waited until the bitter end after Ashley had already seen him, after Ashley, he had already proposed to her, and they started to build a relationship in person. And then to spring that on her once she's fully invested, to me, that's very strategic, very manipulative, and dangerous. And I'm giving Ashley some grace, um, you know, even just thinking about it more so, because I've seen it time and time again. Like sometimes people don't, and you even mentioned this in one of your other reviews. You can't, we all are having the lens of having a bird's eye, 1 mile view into the lens of these people's lives, and being able to say, hey, listen, this is what I would do. This is what I wouldn't do. I can see this for what it is. I'm getting information from all these multiple sources, and we're not connected emotionally, but she is. And again, I'm not making an excuse for her and saying that people can't make real-time decisions. I'm just saying the grace I'm giving her is because she was highly manipulated. And people, it happens to people all the time. They get gaslit, they get manipulated, they get told lies mixed with truth. And it's hard for them to see the forest for the trees. And sometimes it's not till they're much, much further along, um, when they're able to kind of see, oh shoot, this is what I got myself into.
So you're saying she had fight or flight, Sean?
No, I don't think, I mean, I'm not, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that she's getting information bit by bit, but already she's so invested. So it's very hard for some people, not everybody, some people can make clear choices in the midst of an emotional situation. But I feel like in that environment, like she was already loved him so much, she was bare. So I think the way he strategically laid it on her, figuratively and literally, you know, it was difficult for her to kind of like navigate out of it.
I understand what you're saying, Sean, that maybe in an emotional setting now, but they got married last year. Last year. My thing is, even if it's, let's say, Taylor and Garrett, who seemed problematic to most people, seemed non-problematic, but I see some problems there. But what I wish to think is that within a month of being off camera, you would still run a background check and a financial report on this person you've married. At least run their name through the courts. You shouldn't have to wait now to get all this information.
I'm concerned that Ashley may be pregnant. On the episode, she kept saying they kept referring to her wanting a baby like yesterday. And considering this was a year ago, I'm concerned that she's probably even more entrenched, hence her comments, on the internet the other day. I hope not. And he was all too willing when he was talking to his friends right before the wedding. So, mm,
What if Ashley maybe knew about it and she just wanted a kid more? And that's a part of her process of thinking.
She's been
She's getting older.
She's the wife.
Mm-hmm.
Solidified. She's the wife carrying his child.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes your brain don't be working, and all you're thinking about is your objective. You know what I mean? I don't think that's necessarily the truth, but I'm just offering another opinion, another aspect of looking at it. Do you know what I mean? From another perspective, another viewpoint. But I think this could be something to think about. But yes, he did mention it in the video when they were playing pool that Ashley. He actually said that Ashley wants to get it, within a year or so. So. Maybe she's thinking about her eggs, her time. She's 30 plus now. She's probably thinking about, my time is running. This man's got good genes. Let me tell you this now. And, I know some ladies might not want to admit it, but the fact that ladies will actually try to have kids without the man, I think they're crazy enough to have a man that they don't necessarily know that he might be a good guy candidate, but just get the baby out of him. You know what I mean? So people kind of think in a very warped way. So before we continue, let me just read a super chat. Boxing for Life says the villains always say we don't know the truth and wait for the reunion. What can be said at the reunion to make Tyler great? Well, I definitely hear you on that. I definitely don't think Tyler. If anything, for me, Tyler's the only villain of the show, personally. Just because I think that a lot of his work was intentional, hiding, omitting, lying, and we're seeing more information come out, and we haven't seen it. If he comes out and defends it again, then not even just a villain, he's a super villain, and at that point, he needs to be nuked. He needs to be put in a lab, okay, next to Dexter, and we need to think about how we're going to deal with him. You know what I'm saying to you? We're going to have to do something with him, all right? Seaway, welcome to the conversation.
Hey. Still not
What's
home, but I'm
really good? What's really good? We are talking about, obviously, Love is Blind, but we're talking about the villains of the show. Are the men the villain of the show, or are the ladies needing to be better discerning? That's what we were talking about. We've just obviously kind of landed more on Tyler and Ashley's situation, which I think most of us agree that Tyler is the villain. The rest of the other guys seem to have been stupid, or maybe they weren't weren't also, making the best choices. In regards to that, or there was a bit of both in each situation. But specifically, I think we all agree about the Tyler situation. Talk to me. What's your thoughts?
I think villain is a strong word, so I'm gonna reserve that for Tyler. But I do think what Ramses did is what I always thought he would do, and I think he definitely has some villain tease to him. I think everyone else are just a regular type of villain behavior that we're going to interact with in real life. Like everybody else represents people that we all know and have all dealt with. I don't know if it rises to villain, but I think that's what makes this season so relatable. I think every guy on this show almost is somebody that we can say that we probably have interacted with in some capacity, which I feel like makes it even more triggering for a lot of folks.
Definitely understand that. Definitely understand that as well. Before we go any further, anyone in the audience, if you want to join the conversation, I have pinned the link in the chat. If you've watched Love is Blind and maybe you've got an opinion, you want to say something, maybe you got some thoughts, this is the time. I've got another half an hour left. Click on that link, jump on the panel, and we'd love to hear what your voice
why you rushing us, Kojo?
Only because I've got another.
What kind of
well, I can leave you guys on actually. I can leave you guys on. Sean's got power on my channel, so I can let him handle it after. So I'll just go and do what I need to do. I just got a client I got to do. So you guys, no, you generally can. He can host it. I know Sean is a good host, so he will host you guys nicely as well. You know what I mean? I'm sure.
You're running like Tim. You're running quick like Tim.
No, he's like Ramses. He's running like Ramses. Get you all emotionally invested, all wrapped up. and then he bolts. I gotta go. It's too much. It's not working for me anymore. I done screwed your brains out, screwed you mentally, physically, and now I gotta go.
And I
Give
gotta
it
go.
a call, and I gotta go.
Sean, help me. Help me
Go on,
remember.
go on, Steven, go on.
Aisha asked for my dating history and how I got to be married and some of these Ramses and Tims that I've encountered.
See way.
How I get
Please
in
pin
it?
that. I definitely
How did I
Leave
get in
that.
it?
Leave it.
to
Leave
remember.
that alone.
No, to help me remember. Help me remember.
Let them live. Let them live. So take that energy and shift it to Ramses and Marissa. I want to know, now we've seen more of the situation. Ramses obviously decided that he didn't want to be with Marissa no more. I want to get you guys' opinions. Villain still, Ramses, or is there more to the story with Ramses and Marissa? Because the internet is alight. I was on Twitter and the internet is on fire. I mean, when I say Ramses, they are burying him like every pharaoh before him. Like, he is there. You know what I'm saying to you? They've got him locked and loaded. So I want to know, Ramses, villain, not villain? I mean, if he didn't divorce her, if he didn't say no and went to the altar and married her, would you also be having a complaint? So which one do you want? Which one should he choose? Should he choose? I'm asking too many questions. Let's start with the first one. What was your thoughts on Ramses and Marissa's situation? Sorry, I asked too many questions. I want to know what you guys, ladies' thoughts were. Villain, not villain? How are we seeing the Ramses situation in this case? You know, I'd love to hear from people's. Yes.
Ramses did what everybody wanted him to do: leave her alone. Everybody was clamoring for Ramses to leave Marissa alone, get away from her. He took it a bit far from me, but he left her alone. He's like, hey, I'm going to break up. But I think for Ramses, he didn't want to be looked at as the bad guy. I think he wanted her to end things. And so he can kind of, slip out the side. But hey, I mean, folks should be happy. Ramses is leaving her alone and he's not, overstimulating her.
No, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can go for it.
This is the reason why I love this conversation, because I want to go back to the conversation that we had about their whole situation in the kitchen. I said then, and unfortunately I was right, because this is the first time I found myself crying about some Love is Blind. I'm like, why am I crying? Like, this was a devastating scene, because I knew from the moment he was playing them games in the kitchen, talking about, if it ain't this, then maybe I'm going to have to leave. He knew then that he was out. But what he did is what I said he did back then. He tried to pull her back in for his own stability. Ramses wanted to get everything that he could get out of this situation, and then he checked out. And the problem is not the fact that he wanted to check out at some point. The problem is that he was checked out before. And if you were checked out before, why just keep pulling her back in for your own personal gain? And then you get the girl 2 days before the wedding, and then you're like, I don't know. It's just the vibes. I mean, that was heartbreaking, because I think that will mess with a person's heart and mind, where they feel like they can't trust anybody. They feel like they just don't know what to do going forward. So he really was not right for this. He really wasn't. I can say more, I let everybody else go, but he wasn't right. Not for leaving, but the way he did everything, he was not right.
I feel like they were talking in code a lot. I don't know if it was the cameras, but I couldn't really get a hold on what exactly the issue was, or what specifically they were talking about, that switch or that changed. I'm like, you can't be talking about a hormonal thing that she can't control. Like, you've been married before. I still don't put him in the villain box, but I'm sorry. In all these years you've been divorced, this just one conversation with a family member changes your mind. You go this far, and I cried too. I don't cry, but my heart broke for her when she just broke down sobbing on the floor, and she called her mother, and I felt horrible for her. But like like I said, I couldn't really pin down what the heck he was talking about. Just vibes. Like, don't give me vibes. We're about to get married. What are you talking about? So I just think he hadn't done the soul searching that he needed to do. He hadn't had the conversations with himself that he needed to have to see if he was even ready to do this before they even got to this part. So I think that's why I felt bad for her. I've been there.
Go for it, Sean.
Yeah. I think he is villain light, where Tyler is villain heavy, and I'm gonna hit him with the same thing that I did with Tyler, which is the fact that you know what you're going into. This isn't a surprise. This isn't, there's no date. It's not like, okay, we're gonna see how it goes and then we're gonna date. No, this is opening your heart, being vulnerable, and then wanting to marry. And he should have gotten there in the pods if he was going to detach from her. And I feel like he is very manipulative also because he presents himself as one way and then he really is not that. He positioned himself as a new age man, as highly evolved, and then he showed up as a Neanderthal with 2 twigs and dangly earrings and a septum piercing or whatever piercing he had, if it's not a septum one. You know what I mean? Like, it gives them the image and the facade of I'm gonna treat you right. And I think it's almost worse because when you position yourself a certain way and then you are just the antithesis of that, I still stand beside that he was totally so off base with the way he was pressuring her for sex and intimacy. And he should be evolved and smart enough to know that the more intimate you are with a woman, especially in this type of environment where we are prepared for marriage, the more emotionally attached that she is to you, the more he wants to touch her, the more he wants to have all this affection, and then to drop and say, I'm having doubts. That is horrible to do with somebody's emotions. Only at the end of the day to just be thinking about your own self-pleasure, not knowing the more you're intimate, the more you're touching, the more you're caressing, the more you're sharing, the more you're going deep with her, the more invested she gets in, and he's pulling her in. Now, I'm not saying she doesn't have responsibility for her own thoughts, but he is highly manipulative. And it was heartbreaking to watch the way he pulled out at the last second. The only reason he's villain light is because he did set her free. He set her free. So that's why he's not villain heavy. Because he let her go and he didn't continue this nonsense of pretend like he's evolved, like he's woke, like he's awake, like he's going to be a really good guy that's going to treat her right. Because you were married before and now you've had this epiphany that, oh, I realized it wasn't, that my ex-wife was more hurt than the same. That also tells me that he was the same person that we saw, some of us, manipulative, selfish, self-serving. He was the same way with his ex-wife, but he was so blinded by his own feelings and emotion that he couldn't even see how hurt he was. And that's why his family continues to stay in contact with the ex-wife. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on Ramses.
Yeah,
At what point do we look? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sue.
no, go ahead. You can ask a question. Go ahead.
My question was, at what point we're going to look at Marissa? She has said that she has heard this many times before. So there has to be a pattern of behavior. Even if Ramses is not in the picture, this has happened to her many times before.
That's a good question, but I feel like what she says she's heard multiple times before is people being attracted to her bubbly energy, but then they can't handle it over time. To me, that's not a her problem. That's a them problem. And I'm not even trying to be biased. No, I'm going to explain. If she has a bubbly energy that it draws people, right? Like if I love Kojo's free spirited bubbly energy because it's different from me, right? But then over time, I'm like, I'm too rigid for that. I can't do that. He's too free spirited, and it drew me to him at first. But I need a little bit more structure for me. Is that Kojo's fault if he keeps hearing that from people like me, or is that my fault? You get what I mean? Now, could she be more discerning about trying to pick apart the fact that, a lot of people are attracted to bubbliness, or a lot of people are attracted to free spiritedness, so she needs to be discerning as to whether these people can authentically handle it? Sure, but my heart broke for her because there's a lot of people who have personality traits that people are immediately drawn to, but then they later find out that they can only handle in doses. I don't know if it's for her to change, or does she, or do these people need to be more aware of what they can handle? But that's what I wasn't going to mention that, but since you asked that question, I also just feel like Ramses wasn't honest about why his marriage ended, and I don't think that he really was serious about being married anyway. I think he tried to beat out that white boy, whatever his name was, and then he just kept going, knowing good and well that he saw multiple issues that if they weren't on the show and he wasn't trying to get screen time for his couple of twigs, he probably would have walked away. But he saw it out. I mean, I agree with Sean. I think Ramses do I think he felt some hurt for her? Because how could you not? We were strangers through the screen, and a lot of us wanted to cry for her. But I think his level of manipulation, his level of needing so much attention, that he rode this whole little thing out for no reason. I mean, villain light is almost an understatement.
Was
I know.
Marissa's mom right then? I mean, was he there for a good time, not a long time? Is this vindicate her mom?
I mean, listen, look, if she I watched that interview on Vile, so I don't know. She kind of confirmed it, but didn't confirm it. She said that the conversation they had in the kitchen was kind of, she was confused about the conversation because it was about, she said about the sex on the period situation, right? But then she also said, he did say it wasn't about just that. It was about the other times that they had where he mentioned about what he mentioned, right? So I was a bit confused. I was like, which one was it then? So was it the fact that he said he wanted to have sex on the period, or was it the fact that he actually said what he said on the show, which was there were other times he rejected him? So I was a little bit confused. I wish he had nailed it down so we can actually get a full on, real kind of thing. Because I think it, like I said, I think this. I mean, listen, if we nail it to the fact that he was saying it was sex on the period, I'm with you guys. Villain, manipulator. Listen, send him to the freaking gulag. I'm with you guys. I'm the first one there. In fact, I'll jump ahead of you guys with a pitchfork. You know what I'm saying to you? Push him even ahead of freaking Tyler. But I'm going to hold a bit of openness there and say, listen, I think, I definitely feel there was some dishonesty in terms of himself, in terms of what he could handle. I think he wanted to win. I didn't think there was a little bit of that as well when it came to him and Bodan. I think he was competitive. I think he didn't want to be rejected. I think he wanted to beat out the competition. Problem is, you ever done something with somebody where you go a bit too far? Now you're too far. You know what I mean? Like you go somewhere, you're supposed to only go so far with that person. Now you're going too deep, too far. You know what I mean? And now there's no coming back home, as it feels like. And that's what it felt like for me a little bit. I definitely feel though like that I can agree with the villain light. I'm not gonna dispute that. I can see the villain light aspect from this angle as well. What I would say is that when it comes to Marissa as well is that, and I don't think she's a villain at all, by the way. I said this before. You got to be accountable and you got to be compassionate. If you keep hearing people telling you that when they first start with you, you're great, but then it gets somewhere else and they don't want you no more, you're doing something. It's not only other people. You are doing something. There is something that you're doing that when you first start, it looks great. And then when they get into it, they don't want it no more. Something you are doing, because that's your life and you're interacting with them. And if you are the person that is a consistent denominator in that situation, how many men do you have to go past you and do something with you to then be go to say, actually, no. Now, if it's been one or two, then it's like something else. You know what I'm saying to you? But if you keep hearing that, and I know what I'm saying is because I called it out in the pods from early, the same way I called out Ramses. I said none of Ramses and Bodan were never a good choice. None of them were a good choice, right? But she was so bubbly, energetic, and I said she's not really being true to who she really is. And then
she did acknowledge that, Kojo. You do have a point.
Yeah?
You do have a point. She said on the interview that what she realized from Ramses is that she's a people pleaser, and she's too eager to try to, maybe that's what it is, be over the top and be a people pleaser and whatever. And then when she gets into the situation, now she's trying to walk things back. So that could be what you're getting at. And she did say she learned that from this situation.
And that could be scary for the other person. And that's what I think we were trying to. I mean, Elsa was talking about this, and of course, not linking to the condom situation, but that can be scary for the other person too, right? Imagine I meet you and you're all that, and then you walk it back. That is scary. What do you mean you're walking it back? You've gone 400 pace and now you're walking it back. Now someone could say, yeah, he's a man, he should just say no. But again, I want to make it very clear. You don't have enough time in these spaces sometimes. So I'm not saying that he can't be a villain light. I'm saying that I can hold a bit of both and say I would agree with you guys and say I'm not going to argue that point. I'd also like to present another side that maybe there was actually generally some confusion here because he kept on. The story has been kind of consistent. His energy. The energy's changed, something's changed, and I think he felt rejected. I think he just didn't articulate it very, very well again. I felt for her. I can't lie to you, I cried. I know, I'm a softie, so when I saw her crying like that, when I saw her doing that meme with the black guy who cries out, when I saw that, I can't lie to you, I felt really, really sad for her in that moment because I can see that it was very painful in that moment as well. So I definitely felt for her in that moment. Definitely felt for her. Latoya, welcome to the conversation. I'm sure you've heard some of the points that we've been making. What's your thoughts? We're now talking about obviously Marissa and Ramses. What's your thoughts, Latoya? Talk to us.
Hi, thank you for having me on. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm in Los Angeles, chilling outside the nice weather. But when I think of Marissa, I think about so many women and, how it's hard for women to say no to sex. And I oftentimes don't like watching these shows because I'm confused on if they're promoting people having sex, like definitely before marriage, but also just so prematurely. And it's cringe. I halfway don't even like watching kissing scenes in TV shows if it's thoughtless, if it doesn't make sense. And so I just wonder, it's like I was just watching it the whole time, like, man, she slept with him, she sucked in, like this will look very different if she hadn't slept with this man. If she just held off to get to know him, to actually build a foundation, she probably would have got bored with him. And so I have a rule that I give to women when I speak to them about this in terms of how they should approach it when they are meeting a man and they like them and they're feeling like all good inside and want to proceed further. I say, however long it took for you to be into him to get to that point, instead of like going there, and having sex, spend that same amount of time and don't do it. So if you got to this point in 4 weeks, take 4 more weeks. Because I bet you in week 5, it's always the next week. Something happens. And you're like, man. And I'm like, see, just wait. And so when I was watching it, I just felt for her because I just was like, man, if we just only gave ourselves that time, that space, because we know we're the kind of emotional beings that we are, or deeply feeling, for people who are deeply feeling, which I put Marissa in that category. But then also what I saw something today, I believe that Marissa wasn't really crying out for that situation. I think Marissa was crying out for whatever she hasn't addressed in her childhood. And that's what you actually saw. You saw that lamenting of like hopelessness, unworthiness. Trust me, I know about that. And so that was what was hard to see, right? Even what everybody is saying over the internet. Are you sure, right? Her not choosing herself. This is about self-love. And unfortunately, for a lot of women, and definitely Black women, we haven't been shown that. We don't know how to demonstrate that to ourselves because it hasn't been demonstrated to us. And so to see such a vulnerable moment like that was really hard, just as a human being. that was incredibly. So many people feel that way, yet no one gets to see you like that. So that is my thoughts on that. But I'm sure she's doing well today. She looks good.
I really hope so. Question to panelists: was Marissa begging? I've been hearing this chat about how she was begging. I don't think she was begging. I think we just witnessed a moment. I don't know about you, but if you're in a relationship with somebody or someone you like really a lot, and that moment's coming to an end, you might be asking those questions like, "Are you sure? Like, this is what you really want?" Like, you know what I'm saying to you. Some of us say it from a different position. We might say it like, "Are you sure?" Because the moment you say yes, I promise you, I'm about to double up what you're saying. I'm going to do worse. So some of us are a bit more carnage like, but. Do we think that she was begging? Is that how we felt about the scene with Marissa? I really felt, like I said, I felt for her. I can't lie to you, that was pain. And I wish I didn't know why the camera caught her in the part, when she was sitting down, I didn't like that. When she was on the floor, I felt like when they captured the original feeling, I thought that was cool. But I don't know why they captured the part where she was on the floor breaking down. I mean, it was like a Jarrett moment from a couple of seasons ago. Remember Jarrett when he was with the towel over his head? But what was your thoughts, guys? Do you think Marissa was begging? Okay, or is this just a normal process of what happens when people break up with you? Like, do you know what I'm saying? What's your thoughts, guys? What's your thoughts?
I think she was bargaining, not begging.
Ooh, bargaining. Okay.
I think she was just trying to say, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" I think she was just trying to bargain, to try to get him to dig a little deeper, even though he had already made up his own mind. I think that's why it looked like begging, because she knew his mind was made up, but she was still going to try. But I don't think it was begging.
I think it was an emotional plea. And I think that you also mentioned this in your other video, and it's so true. Because she's being true to her emotions. And I think if we all just take a step back, again, not being the observer, but put yourself in Marissa's shoes, we've all been there. Because if anybody's been in love and had your heart broken by somebody, you've been there. Now, the difference is some people don't articulate the words. So they convince themselves, because they never said it out loud to the person, that they didn't have the feeling. But trust me, when you lose, grief is one of the first stages of grief is negotiation. Because you cannot deal with the pain. And that's how I know she was truly in love with him, because she could not deal with the pain. So you start to negotiate and hope and wish that it's not real. So it took her some time to digest it. Now, some people, Kojo, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it may be the more dismissive person that will have the feeling, but they won't let it become the words or let the person hear what they really feel in their heart. But trust me, we all, if you've been in love, now if you've never been in love, then you won't have that feeling. I will say, if you've never been in love and had your heart broken, because if you've been in love and had your heart broken, you've done it. And I'm telling you, that scene to me was so bare, so raw. And I give her all respect for being so vulnerable in that moment, because we've all felt that way. And I mean, it just hurt me to my core. I don't think she was begging him. I think she was trying to reason with him. Are you sure? And that's, to me, is even more reason why I feel like he's the villain. He's got some villain in him, because she didn't get to this place emotionally by herself. And we've seen her bargain with him like that before. And he's kind of just going along with it. We're good together. And I just felt bad for her, because the story she created in her mind all disappeared. And for those that are calling for accountability, that was her accountability right there. Because when your world comes crashing down like that, that is life-changing. When she said, I just wanted to be chosen and to be wanted and to be loved for myself, and then the very person she thought was going to do it didn't, her accountability is in that moment, because now she doesn't have it, and she has to wrestle with, how did that happen? How did she let herself get there? How did she fall so hard? How did she not see the signs? So she getting her accountability, trust.
This is Love is Blind. There's the possibility of the other person saying no. It's either they're going to say no in the apartment, or it's going to be in front of your friends and family. So I don't like how he was, how he did it, his timeline, but I sure as heck preferred it in the apartment than in front of the friends and family with all of the wedding going on. There is a chance, this is Love is Blind, there is a chance the person says no. So yes, I feel for her. I'm sorry. I'm one of those, you could call me heartless or whatever. I did not cry. I watched it and I was like, why is she so far emotionally invested at this point when we know he can still walk away until they say their vows? See, I would still have my 1 foot out the door. I still will have 1 foot, I don't know, until you say I do, you have a chance to say I don't. So I am not putting all my eggs in the basket for you to, dump it and then everything's cracked up. Everybody has the opportunity to say no. I don't wish to marry you. It's just a matter of when they say it. And I much rather he say it here. He should have said it when they had the military conversation, quite frankly. He should have never even proposed, but it's a competitive spirit. But again, would we rather it now or would we rather in front of her friends and family and talking about her like we talked about AD and how she was blindsided at the altar, crying her heart out backstage? So I'm sorry. Villain light, I could give you that, but I much prefer he did it in the privacy of the apartment, than after all the bells and whistles. But everybody, including Marissa, has the opportunity to say, no, I don't wish to marry you.
I also want to be devil's advocate as well. If you look at that scene, I believe that Ramses was giving one more final look to see if he could choose her by way of him actually being vulnerable about his reservations in them being married. And Kojo, you mentioned, I think in a video earlier, about how she was like, she just blew him off, dismissed them. Oh, that's that. What's that? Like she doesn't really have good social skills and her communication is bad. She doesn't know how to do simple things like validate someone's experience while also still speaking about things that are important. She's a mess. Her emotional regulation is off. Like, it's a lot of that. And, I do think that he's actually the more mature one because he kind of laid everything out for her. But she's the one who decided to abandon her needs. And so someone who is more dedicated to getting in healthier relationships and honoring themselves first, which is really important, is going to look at some of these things, differently. But yeah, no. And then to your point, Elsid, again, we're not married. We haven't made a decision. What are we doing? So I'm going to have the glass door up, the bricks up, the wall up, whatever it needs to be until I feel safe, and then it comes down. And so that was another facet of it as well that I saw, that I can't really blame Ramses for that one last shot before he said no. And I think that's what prompted him to just kind of yeah, whatever. And so that's where he was at.
What if? Oh, sorry, Sean. Go for it.
No, I was going to say y'all are tough. Woo! Very light on the empathy around here. Woo! That's all I was going to say. Good God Almighty.
Villain light, empathy light.
Definitely.
A light touch, a light dash.
Empathy diet. It's like zero. Zero around here. Woo!
I feel so bad. I missed the last part where we weren't being empathetic.
No, guys, my first comment was all about being empathetic towards Marissa. I want to point that out, that first comment was all empathy for her. Now, this second one is different.
Don't fall for Sean's bait, LaToya. Don't fall for the bait.
There is no bait. I'm just telling you honestly how I felt in the moment listening to the both of you. Because, Lord, I need to be perfect.
Is that right? Is that right? Everybody got the opportunity to say no?
I mean, of course, Elsa, that is like stating that the sky is blue. We know that. But
So
my
why we're
point is,
mad?
but human emotions don't work like that in a silo. Okay, I'm going to not be emotional because I know that, he can say no. We understand that, of course. And my first thing was, that's why he's not villain heavy, because he did actually realize, hey, this is going wrong and it's too much too fast. Let me bail out while I can. And he did her a favor because she would not let him go. It would take the Titanic and an iceberg to get her to leave him. So yeah, I am
She
glad he
did.
did it.
She did say she would take 5 to 7 years of suffering before she ended things.
She
She
really
did
did,
say that.
and I think he at that moment, when she said that, he got scared too. At that moment, he was like, "Wait, you'd wait 5 to 7." He's like, "No, I'll be at the door. I've already done that with the first marriage. I ain't doing that again." I think that I think again, it's very difficult, this situation, because I think obviously, like I said, it was very tough, right? I think. I think he could have done maybe a better job of being a bit more clearer about the latent needs that he actually needed. But I think, and a lot of people keep saying what needs were there. I think the needs are quite clear, personally. Okay, the guy don't like rejection, but that's me reading into things as I usually do, because that's what I do for coaching. But you know what I mean. So I can see from another perspective that he could have been a bit more clearer in terms of what he actually needed. But it's really interesting, I think, when we view it, because I think there's a bit. I want to say there's a bit of. I just think that both of them weren't the right people for each other in the space that they were in mentally. I just think that they both were unhealed. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a lot of work that they both need to do. And I think personally as well, like, and this is really interesting because you ever, I don't know, I guess obviously, like, the Ramsay situation reminds me of when, and I'm going to reverse the situation for the ladies. It's like when ladies are at the end of a relationship and they suddenly end it, and the man is like, I don't know what happened. Man, she was at the end of that relationship for a long time, my guy. You know what I'm saying to you? Now, was she being manipulative while she was still in that relationship? Was she still? No, but the reality was some people are still, they're waiting for that decisive moment to be able to say, it's over. I can't do it no more. But the last 6 months, you've been out of the relationship, almost waiting for something to change. And I feel like when I look at Ramsay, I wonder if he was looking for something to change. Right now, I'm saying we want to be empathy light. Let's bring some empathy for the brother too, okay? And his brother was probably thinking to himself, you know what? Actually, it's not changing. You know what I mean? I thought it might change. Let me give it a bit more time to see if it might change. And then it's still not changing. It's still the same, and I'm still getting the same energy, or I'm still getting the energy that's not right for me personally, right? You know what I'm saying to you? And so you kind of drag out the situation a little bit longer than it needs to be dragged out. But in the end, he made the right choice by saying, you know what? I gotta go. You know what I mean? Like, the energy that I think when he living with her, he realized he couldn't do it. But it's probably also he was getting triggered too. His own insecurity, his own wounds that he was feeling were probably getting triggered, and he didn't know how to handle that either. So, I looked at it from that perspective. I was like, well, I think maybe he was waiting for her to end it. Maybe he wanted her to end it. Maybe he wanted her to push that red button because he was afraid, and a little bit of a, I don't want to say the real word, being a little bit of a coward, by not ending it. Potentially, could be. I'm not saying that actually is, but could be as well that he's been a bit of a coward, that he didn't want to be the bad guy, right? You know what I'm saying to you? Didn't want to be the bad guy, so he wanted to wait it out to see. So that could also be as well. And I wouldn't be against that particular perspective as well. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, where I can't give him grace is because I think his desires are rooted in complete selfishness. And you know how you set something up, that you set up a hoop that the person can never jump through. She was never going to be perfect enough because nobody is. And that's kind of what she said to him. She was like, I've accepted you. You've accepted me. I see things in you. You see things in me. Nobody is going to be, people's personalities are an arc. You know what I mean? Like, it goes like this and it's up. You can't expect somebody to be one way all the time. And I think that's unfair of him, just the same way he was looking for some type of org chart or graph that he can graph the amount of sex that they're going to have or the amount of intimacy that you're going to have. You're dealing with a person. You can't put that expectation on somebody, and that's rooted in something that a lot of us men, and this is where I've been heavy on the misogyny and the patriarchy, is heavy. I'm serious. Now I'm being serious. Now, people can buck up against it if you want, but men, we need to rethink our idea of how we interact with women. we don't own their bodies, and to convince ourselves that my emotional stability, my own emotional stability and my satisfaction is rooted in how much sex you give me from your body is problematic. But we wrap it in, that's my wife. We wrap it in, we're in a relationship, so you should be giving to me. No, two people should be entering into sex because it's something that they want, and it should be something mutually beneficial, not because I have this like base level need that's going to help me get to where I need to get to. And people convincing themselves, men and women alike, that it's okay to treat your spouse that way is why we have some of the issues that we have. You also have other options. You're not going to stop breathing if she doesn't touch your today. You're not going to stop breathing if she don't touch you the way she wants to touch you. You're not going to die if maybe she has a little bit of an attitude. And I'm sorry, it's the reality of it. And if you knew women and really liked women, and see, that's the root of the problem. A lot of us don't like women, because if we liked women, we would treat them like we treat our friends. We accept them, we give them room, we give them grace because we really like them. But when we use them as a means to an end, and society sets it up so that it's very convenient for us to do so, this is how you have people like Ramses who show up and say that they have the knowledge, but then they act just like everybody else. It's crazy. And this is why, I go to the nth degree, because men need to kind of wake up. We need to stop the crap. And we want to be leaders. We want to be providers. We want to be the all-knowing, and I'm logical and I have the sense and I can see it. Well, dig into yourself, brother. Like, dig into yourself and see like some of your ish. Unpack some of that ish. And when it comes to the stuff that touch closest to you, how much are you willing to let that go? So that's my TED Talk.
Wow. And can I just say, I just appreciate Sean speaking to the men. Sean needs to speak to the men, but I need the ladies to listen to what I'm saying. That wasn't for you ladies. That was for the men. What the ladies need to understand is that this is the type of situation that we're dealing with and that we're interacting with. So you have to do your best and do your due diligence, and don't acquiesce. Don't give in because you're trying to people please, because what you're going to do is you're going to end up hurting yourself in the end, trying to keep up with a man who maybe doesn't even like women. He may not be gay, but he may not even like women like that. And I think a lot of times women, we want to be loved. And so we don't get, a lot of us who are followers of Little Black Book, subscribers of Little Black Book, a lot of y'all don't get caught up by the Pookies and Ray Rays. And that's not who you guys get caught up by. You guys get caught up by the Ramses. You guys get caught up by the Tims of the world. And that is the reason why you need to be aware that when you see a man like Ramses who's saying all the right things, you need to make sure that he follows through and he does all the right things. If you see that if you have an autoimmune disorder, if you just don't want to have sex, you don't want to do any of these things, and he's making it all about him, do not give in to try to please him, because in the end, you're never going to please him. And I think that's where Marissa effed up at. This man, time and time again, showed her that he didn't like the true her. And so her tears at the end, they were for Ramses, but it was also for herself. The reason why I kind of felt sad for Marissa is because she was crying, because she's like, Dag, I did it again. I lied to myself again. I allowed myself to look past, someone who really didn't love me for me. And that's why I'm saying, don't be Marissa in that way. You will see the signs of a Ramses who really ain't effing with you, the real you, all of you. Because all of you is your autoimmune disorder. All of you is your period. All of you is that you're tired. All of you is you're giddy. All of you is that you're sad sometimes. If he makes it all about him, then don't try to give in to try to keep him. What did Glorilla said? If he don't want to be kept, I forgot what Glow said. Y'all know what Big Glow said? She said, look, if he don't want to be kept, don't keep him. That's what she said. Don't keep him. You cannot keep a man that does not want to be kept. Protect your heart. Protect your heart. Protect your heart. Don't wait for what Sean said. Don't wait for the men to change. Let Sean talk to the men. Let the men talk to the men. In the meantime, in between time, protect your heart. And I see a lot of us aren't doing it. And as soon as we see a man like Ramses with 2 twigs, or as soon as we see a man like Tim, y'all let them trauma dump. Y'all let him do what, like, protect your heart. That's what I got.
They done started something. They done started the ish. Sean and Seaway done started the ish. And you knew I had got to go. You knew it. So you done started this ish knowing that I gotta go. Selfish and manipulative from the both of y'all. No, listen, I love the conversation, I do, and I like I said, I'm holding space for many truths being also revealed as well. Let me just read out this super chat. True Love said, tell the truth, Seaway, amen, protect your heart indeed. And said another one as well, said, bravo, Deacon Sean as well. So God bless you for sending that too. Next time, in fact, put your PayPal on there, Sean, so they can send it to you. Because the way you're talking right now, they're going to be sending a lot of PayPal offerings to you at this point. You know what I'm saying to you? You and Yada are in the same boat at this point. You know what I'm saying to you? Just colliding. I love it. But no, I think you've actually made some good points. Like I said, I will be happy to stand on you guys' side if we can get a definitive stamp on that conversation in the kitchen that it was he was specifically talking about her being on period, then I'm going to stand 10 toes with you guys. I'll hold a placard with you guys. I'll walk with you. I will march like it's MLK again. You know what I'm saying to you? I will go with you guys, and I promise you I will. But until we can get the definitive, that conversation when you were talking about sex was specifically about the period aspect, I'm still going to hold a bit more space to say I like the fact that he was able to say his needs. And all she needed to do was say her needs. And I think, again, that this situation we saw is just two fearful people. But what ends up happening is that a lot of times, as a man, you get labeled as the villain in a situation, but you're just as fearful as the person standing right next to you, right? It shows up in a slightly different way, but you're just as fearful as of a person. You know what I mean? And so, bar obviously the condom conversation, because I'm with you guys, 10 toes down, placard with you. Just going by what's happened, I think this was a real conversation about fears of abandonment and fears of rejection. And you saw it playing out in a particular way, but we didn't have much empathy for Ramses in this case. And I'm guessing that's because obviously what his past was and what he had said in the previous conversation. I can work with that. But I felt like, in a situation, we, when you explain it, Sean, I really do get it. I feel like, though, when you're explaining it, it becomes very one-sided. That's how I feel. Just in response to that. I feel like it lacks nuance. What I mean by that is that when you plastered it like, as men, we should know. And I'm saying, like, most of us do know. If your girl is on your period, listen, most of us do know. You know what I'm saying to you? We do know that she's out of commission. You know what I'm saying to you? Now, what some of us do know also is that ain't never stopped nobody in the past. But anyway, that's another conversation. But look, this me being crude. But in reality, what I'm saying is also, right, is that there was other aspects to that conversation that were also mentioned in that particular conversation. So why is that not taken into consideration that potentially there could have been more to the situation? Why does it only rest on the fact he definitely was saying about the period situation, and not broaden it a little bit? That maybe there could have been an aspect of there were some behaviors that he saw that maybe he did not necessarily like. Why is it straight away that he definitely doesn't like that woman? Now, I ain't gonna lie to that friend that came in the picture. I ain't gonna lie to you. I started questioning a lot of things. His friend came in the picture. I said, But taking that aside, why could it not be that there are actual things that are working on his on his side that he felt like weren't working for him, and it was poorly communicated? Maybe it wasn't as clear cut. Is that him just trying to be a manipulator, or him trying to be the bad guy? Or is that just sometimes that you don't have the articulation or the language to be able to really express what's really going on in your mind and your heart, and that actually in this moment, when you are meant to make a decision in 4 weeks, you're getting cold feet? And actually, when you're seeing certain behaviors, when you're seeing that somebody, and I know you might not say it that way, that women change, but my friend, I'm so sorry. If I be messing with you from Cabo, and you get home and you switch up a quick 180, and I'm talking about outside of the period situation, of course, because me, I don't, and you suddenly switch up outside of that, again, I'm using the information if that is the case, I'm going to question you. I am. Because why did you come 100 miles per hour at me and suddenly switch? Something's not quite right. Is this what I'm going to encounter in marriage? I'm going to get up and get down. I'm going to suddenly get... Do you know what I mean? I don't have a baseline, as Elsid would always say. So it's very difficult. So is there room here? Is there room here to expand this thought process that I know you and Seaway are really pumping behind, which I'm happy for it too, if this image comes out as it should. Is there room to expand this, that this may not be just that way?
Said it was.
Yeah.
I said it was. I said if she was putting on 10 on 2, trying to keep up with him in Cabo, when she knows, just trying to please someone, because a lot of us women, to make it quick, we can tell when a man is all about them, when they're very selfish. And a lot of times some people pleaser type women will, instead of like recognizing like, hey, this man is going to be too much into him, I can't keep up, they go 10 on 2 and try to do all the tricks and the spinning around and the popping on the this and that, and they doing all this stuff, knowing good and well they're not going to have the energy to keep up with that in real life, but they're being a people pleaser. These be the people in the chat, some of the pick me behavior. Oh no, I run my man's bath water. Oh no, I'm gonna do flips on the trick. I'm gonna do this and that, knowing good and well they can't keep up with that for a lifetime, for a week, for a day, but they say that and they do that to try to keep a man. But then when she gets back home, she has an autoimmune disease. She's traveling 4 hours. You know what I mean? She's tired, right? So she can't keep up with the selfish man or a self-centered man. And so he's like, wait, what happened to my tricks? What happened to this and that? And she's like, wait, you don't love me for me? Hell no, he don't. Hell no, he never did. He just loved what the energy you were providing him. And that's why I'm saying I do leave room for that, Kojo. I still think though he gives selfish vibes though. But I think as women, sometimes we feed into that because we want to be loved. We want to keep a man. We want to do this and that. But then it's like a bait and switch because we can't keep up with that. Last example, you know how I say on this platform, I don't cook no more? Do you know how many women also don't cook? But they won't get on this platform and say that because they want to act like they cook all these meals and then to reel in a man. And then when they get the man, they don't cook crap. And then the man wants to leave them because instead of telling the truth like I did, they talk about they be cooking all pork chops, lamb chops, greens, and you don't cook none of that. But you try to cook your little meal for the first week knowing good and well you don't cook. This is what women have to stop doing.
So is that a problem? So wait, see, come back. Don't leave yet. So is that if then the person turns around and says you sold me a lie, would like let's say you started saying I do cook, and then you get to the marriage and the person's like, nah, I was just kidding, I don't really actually cook, yeah. So have you lied about who you actually really are trying to, like, have you lied? And if you have, so is it fair? And is it fair that if the person says, well, then I don't need to be in this marriage because when I married you, I really did think that was one of the benefits I was going to get, and now you're telling me I'm not going to get a benefit. Is that person being manipulative when they now turn around and say that?
Yeah, so they have a right to say that, but don't miss the first part though that Sean was talking about. I think a lot of these men don't love women for women. They love what they can do for them. So they're also wrong. Is the guy wrong for saying, hey, you sold me a dream? You sold me something that you can't do? No, right? Because at least he was being straightforward. But I think a lot of men, instead of loving the whole woman, instead of actually trying to be a whole husband to a whole person, they love what they can do, their services. And I'm saying, and then women in response are trying to acquiesce to that, and then now they're being disingenuous. So I'm just talking about both sides because you asked, could we leave room? Yeah, I can leave room for that. But I think
so
men need to examine
question
as leaders.
Wait, Kojo, I want to respond because you're gonna keep adding and we're gonna forget.
I got one last question. Just one last question. I promise you. I swear to God, I've got only one last question, and you can have it. I promise you. So then, so if now I'm a man and I say to you, I pay bills and I pay all the bills, and then we get into marriage and I'm like, I'm not really about that life anymore. Can't lie to you, that's not me. I know I said that I can do that, but I was only doing it because I was fawning, and I can't lie to you, I was a bit scared, so that ain't really me. Would you now feel some type of way about the kind of man I am? Would you look at me differently?
You're pissing Sean off.
He can be pissed off all he wants because he knows I'm on point. Would that be a problem?
If a woman only wants a man for what he can financially do for her, which is not a lot of women, and especially not a lot of Black women as we see in our society, then if she gets a bait and switch, then that would be a good example of a woman not loving the whole man, right? Just loving a person for what they can financially do for you is not loving the whole man, right? So yeah, that's a good example. But I think the problem is men are supposed to be leaders. You guys are the input. Okay? You guys are the leaders. We are the receivers. So I always challenge men to think about the energy that they're getting back. They should really look at the energy that they're giving out. Because a lot of good women wouldn't feel the need to do all these things that she was doing, and she felt like she was safe and loved by a man. I think she knew from the beginning that she was holding on to Ramses by a thread. And I
Didn't Ramsay? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna wrap it up. So I don't think Ramses is gonna love anybody more than he loves himself, and he is not a unique in that way. There's a lot of men like that, and I think it's unfortunate.
I think a lot of women would feel some type of way if a man decided suddenly just said to you, he ain't paying no bills no more. He wants to be a stay-at-home dad. He don't want to do that role anymore. I think a lot of women would have an issue with that, and I would have no problem with that. Right? There would be no problem with that. If the man said sold you on a dream that he could do all these things, and suddenly turns around and says, "I'm not doing it."
Is that all you got from what I said, Kojo? I know I said a lot more.
You gave an analogy, and I'm flipping the analogy. You gave an analogy that if the man also turned it around, I turned it around and said, well, if the man is paying the bills and then says, no, actually, that's not what I want to do no more. Even if you're dual income, let's say he suddenly says, I'm going to stay at home now. Would you feel some type of way? I'm not saying anything crazy. You gave an example as an analogy, and I simply flipped the analogy. So now, would there be an issue if she then goes, I'm not comfortable with you being in that role, and you now say you want to be a stay-at-home dad? You sold me a dream. Would now she be manipulative and saying that she doesn't love the man for all he is when he sold her on that dream? The same way that somebody sold you a dream on, I'm this sex goddess, and then they turn around like, actually, I'm not. I'm really not that person. It's a selling of a dream. It's not that the person doesn't love the person, and holistically, part of it, what you're selling, you've sold me a dream.
I'm gonna let Sean go because I understand where you're going, Kojo, but I think the moral to my story, the message behind it is being missed. Like, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but there was a deeper message there that I think we're skirting past. And I think that's what I was trying to get to. But I do understand what you're saying, and you shouldn't. I think your moral is my moral. When I was talking to women, I was saying, do not sell these men that do not care about you, who are selfish, who do not love the whole you. Don't sell them a dream to keep them because they can't be kept. I mean, I'm actually saying what you're saying. I'm saying don't do that. Because if you find yourself feeling the need to sell a man a dream, to do something that you can't keep up, the likelihood is that this man does not care about you to begin with. That is really the point I'm making. Now, if you're just a manipulative individual, I mean, you could be manipulative. All different sexes are manipulative, but that's not what she gives me. She gives me a woman who really, really wanted to be loved and was trying to do whatever she could do to keep up with Ramses, and then she couldn't keep up with it. And that's what I'm saying. You shouldn't do that.
Go for it, Sean.
Yeah. So if we can just begin at the beginning, I don't feel like there is any room. I don't think there is both sides on this, because sex and paying bills are two very distinct, different things. And I think you often talk about radical truth in your approach and how to deal with things, and how to deal with people in relationships. As men, we need to be radically truthful with each other. And the system that's in place that has women depending on men, or had women depending on men, because that's changed in the last few decades, is based in patriarchy, right? So that system has to be abolished in a very similar way like racism. So that's like a white person saying, well, I'm paying you a little bit and you're still working, so can you kind of be my slave, and you still have a little bit of rights, but, I still want you to clean the house. I still want you to take care of my kids, but you are free. No, it doesn't get to work that way. There's things that we need to let go of. but it makes us feel good and comfortable because we try to make it equitable. So as men, we often do that. And I'm not going to let you do it. Maybe a woman can say, you know what, because they need something from you. I don't need anything from you. What you got don't do nothing for me. So I'm going to tell you the MFing truth. And the truth is there's certain things even you need to let go of. Even I need to let go of. And it's things we convince ourselves that are right because it feels good. It feels good when we have sex with our women, right? That feels good. But it should be because it's a mutual act, not because we have an expectation that they had sex with us like they did 2 months, 2 years, 2 weeks ago. A woman should be willingly coming to have intimacy with us. And I'm going to try to avoid the SES word because I don't want everybody typing it in the chat because it throws off the algorithm. But intimacy should be a mutually beneficial act with two people, and there should be no expectation that you did it like you did it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 years ago, because it's a change. People's bodies change. If you truly like women, and I'm not talking about a man being homosexual, who cares about that? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you like a woman, like if you then you consider her. Right? If we're going to go biblical, we are to love our wives, right? So love means self-sacrifice. So it's self-sacrifice of your own desires, which means and includes, but not limited to, sex. So sometimes our woman, depending on where she is, it could be her mood. Maybe I pissed her off. Maybe there was something that I should have did. Should she communicate that to me? Absolutely. But I should have no expectation and be pissed and put it on a diagram of this is why we can't be together because you didn't do what I said do or you didn't do what I wanted you to do. No, that's wrong. It needs to be eliminated. It needs to be eliminated. And this is why we had things where women were getting the R worded in their own marriage and still are. And in some states, it was actually legal for women. Don't hang your head, because if you're going to talk to me about a woman cooking a meal or a man not paying a bill and you want to equate that to sex, then I'm going to take you all the way back to why these things need to be radically challenged, because there were women in their own households that didn't have freedom of their bodies. Okay, so that's generational trauma from that. So for us to sit up here and just say, "Oh, I want to put this on the thing," and if you promised me you was gonna be a freak all day until the night like Adina, then you got to do that 6 months in, and you got to do it a year from now. No, brother. Why don't you encourage your woman? Why don't you get to know your woman? Why don't you get to understand what makes her tick? Because if you want something from her from an intimacy perspective, then you need to learn how she works. You need to learn what are the things. And Marissa may not have been perfect, but she explained it to him. She said, "I'm not feeling well. It's only been a few days." So she gave him some information, some data to collect that this is not who I am. This was the same woman that was, when the other couples were gathering around, she was over here talking about having threesomes and going to swingers clubs. So trust me, she's not, and I'm not saying I got a body count from here to there, but I know a little bit about women, and she ain't that woman that is sexually repressed and is not gonna want it. Trust and believe she's not that. She may have some off days. Give her some credit. Give her a break. She needs some time to heal. You know what I mean? So that's my.
I don't disagree with you, Sean. I haven't disagreed with you. I've said to you, I agree with you guys if you run by the basis of the information given that simply was about sex and a period. I said to you, I'll agree with you. I already told you, I'll pick up my placard and we will walk together. I'll hold your arms, link it. Me, you, Sibe will swing and skip our legs down the street.
But Sean said it doesn't have to be period. It could be, I just didn't want to.
Hold on. Because my point was that if you're going to...
Listen, bro, I love your pieces, but you're negotiating this because sex is ultimately very important to you, and that's why you're.
Is sex not important to you? No, wait. Is sex not important to you? No. So then, what are you talking about? So what are you talking about? So then, what are you talking about?
But we're not at the same place because you keep trying to negotiate it.
We're not negotiating.
You're with me if no. Because it has to. Sorry. Go on. not at the down. I'm trying to say the opposite of benefit. If it's going to be detrimental to the woman that I'm with, no, it's not. I was married for over 5 years. We didn't have sex the same way. We weren't intimate the same way in the beginning of the marriage to the end, to the middle. But I'm not holding.
Was that the first week? Was that the first 3 weeks? The first 4 or 5 weeks that you've known her, did it just suddenly shift?
We're on a continuum.
No. Don't.
Yes,
because if you put 5 years into 4 weeks when you're not married,
we're in a process. These guys are in a process. So yeah, I wouldn't go on Reddit. I wouldn't go on Love Is Blind because it's an expedited process. So you have a lot of information to collect in a small period. But the bulk of the relationship, the time that they were together, so if they were together in physically for 2 weeks, the first 8 days they were getting it in like rabbits. There was the last 3 where they weren't. So that's still a significant amount of time.
So why don't you, as I said to you before, why don't you also include the fact that, because the reason why we're having this lovely debate and conversation is because when you are hitting your point, right, you are operating from a place of not including the other evidence, which I keep saying to you was, he said on other occasions, it wasn't just about the sex. There was times where I tried to come to you, try to hug you or try to touch you or whatever, and you rejected me. Right, so I said include that into the conversation, that there may also be a broader aspect of him feeling rejection. That's got nothing to do with patriarchy or anything. If somebody rejects you, you can feel that rejection. It is a natural human thing, and I'm saying to you why can't we include that into the thing? Because if I'm on what you're saying, I'm on your side. It's like going to a courtroom and then saying I'm presenting you more evidence, and you're saying I'm not going to go by that evidence. I'm just going to go by this evidence to stay. But I'm saying, but if we haven't fully nailed it down to being about that, if there's other things included, I hate the fact we're having this conversation this way, because people are acting as if I'm saying that if the person's on PMS, I don't agree with the fact they should leave her alone. I'm not saying that. I've never not once said that. So that's why I don't like that conversation going in the way it does, because it makes it sound as if me as a man needs to unlearn. It's like, wait, have you ever heard me ever say that because she's on a period, he should just get sex? I've never said that. What I keep saying to you, and this is why we're missing each other, is that there is more evidence to the conversation, meaning that if you were saying that there were other moments other than sex when he tried to touch her and he felt rejected in that moment, he feels some type of way. Now he's asking himself the key question, whoa, things have changed in a very quick space of time. Fear is now kicking in. And that's what I said about having empathy for him, because none of the point that you've made sounds like any empathy for him. It just sounds like he's an absolute bastard. You know what I'm saying to you? I use that word because the Bible uses the word, you know. Okay. So that's why I'm wrestling with you a little bit back. It is not to say that I don't agree with you. I agree with you if we go by that premise of just that information. You know what I'm saying to you? That's what I'm saying, innit? But let me let Lorraine get in, and then we can chop up some more. I'm sure El Cid and Jay want to jump in as well. It's getting to one of the really good conversations as well. So I appreciate your back and forth, Siwe and Sean as well. Lorraine, jump in for me. What are we saying?
Ooh, it's getting heated tonight. Hey.
I'm even hot.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit before I bring it up at the end. When Ramses said the reason why he loved Marissa, I just knew that he was not in love with her, if that makes sense. He said that he loved her because of the way that she held his masculinity. So for me, it was all about him, you know, as opposed to I love her because of the person that she is, of the characteristics that, you know, that she has. And like what Siwe was saying, what I notice a lot from men is that they tend to go from a place of like what a woman can do for me. And then as women, we're very maternal, we're very much like giving. And I sensed that a lot from Marissa. You know, there was just an instinct to just give more of herself than to just, you know, take space and think about what she wanted, what was good for her. And from when they were intimate, literally the first day of the retreat, I said, hold on a minute. And it seemed like she was the one that was kind of initiating it. When they were having the conversations, even when they were back at the apartment, she was the one that was texting, kind of like intimacy innuendo. So it was just very much like she was kind of initiating it a lot more. So I can take space to say that from Rams's point of view, you know, if you're presenting as this way, and then that's to be taken away. I can understand that. However, there's context to this. She literally explained herself and said the reason why I'm not well, PMS. And even if that wasn't the case, I shouldn't have to give you a reason why I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. If I don't even want you to touch me, do not touch me. Like, consent isn't just about intimacy like that. It's about everything, you know. It doesn't matter that you're in a relationship with somebody or that you're married to somebody, you know. So I think I wasn't even understanding why they were even having that conversation from Rams's point of view. Like, were you not married before? Like, what happened in your previous marriage? Like, did she have to be of service whenever you know, or even if it was just cuddling, like, did she just have to cuddle just because she wanted to cuddle? It just seems about what he wanted. And I understand that, you know, men are visual, physical, and all that kind of stuff. But if you're going into a relationship with somebody, there has to be a lot of give and take, you know? So, yeah, I just did not appreciate that about Ramses. They weren't compatible, period. Marissa, anxious, avoidant attachment style, which is why she kept on begging. Oh, it broke my heart when she was begging. Are you sure? Are you sure? You're making a mistake. Never let a man tell you twice that he don't want you, even if he's been softly spoken. And was he not wearing women's underwear? Netflix is bloody, you know, they should not have done him like that. Why did they show that 3 times? He was wearing women's underwear. It was
Lorraine, I'm sorry, that was a mic thing.
oh.
Yo, they're saying it's underwear. We're not sure yet.
It's
We need to see
not.
evidence.
I watched
I've
it
seen that
15
in many Hollywood productions before. It's just a mic clip.
But what is you?
Well, I hope so, because it sure damn look like underwear. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is they were not compatible. He was not ready to get married to her. And she was just wanting to be chosen. Period.
Sid, Jay, do you want to jump in? Let me just read this comment quickly. Rose said, "I hope Marissa didn't have a villain error. Don't have a villain error. That's only so much heart. Only so much a heart can bear. She's precious and deserves the world." I love that. I love that. I'm gonna be facetious. So does every man too. I'm just going to tumble today. I'm just joking. Elson and Jay, talk to me.
I think in the midst of the conversation that ladies are used to being on the receiving end of a Ramses. They're not used to being the Ramses. Maybe ladies aren't used to your touch being unwelcome by the man. Your touch not being received in a good manner. And it does happen. I'm not saying it's often, but it does happen. So I think in the nuance of the conversation and why so many are commiserating with Marissa is because they probably have been in that same position to say, hey, no. But I don't think that many of us understand or have ever heard the, hey, your touch is overstimulating me, not right now, maybe too stressed out from work. I don't think we're used to hearing that part. So where I can leave space to listen to Ramses, not necessarily agree with him, but I do listen. In order for the man not to feel like he's the villain to his spouse, he's got to ask questions. They've only known each other for about 3 weeks. He knows Pod Marissa, he knows Vacation Marissa. Now we know day-to-day Marissa. He has to ask the question. There has to be a conversation. And we have to leave room for both parties to say, this is not it for me. Now their reasoning, be it good or bad, is their reasoning. But again, can we leave room for a conversation? What I don't want to take away from this is that couples or people dating can't have a conversation as calmly as we're talking now, that we could talk about how I'm feeling and if this is it for me or not. Because if it's not it for him, then c'est la vie. It is, let him go. Because you do not want to be in a relationship where you feel pressured by your mate. Either side of things. So I think we need to have the conversations so that you know you're with a man and his expectations are rain, sunshine, or whatever, that is his expectation. We have to have conversations.
Jay, we haven't heard from you. Go for it.
I think, didn't he say to her, it's not you, it's me? So to me, he's telling her, oh no, it's not your issues, it's my issues, but he's wrapping his issues in her. It is her. He's saying it is her. He's not questioning, can I serve you? He's got her questioning, can you keep up with what I need? I think maybe by him being married before, he didn't get what he wanted out of it. So he said, if I'm going to do it again, I'm going to get everything that I want. The next person's going to have to check all the boxes, because he did say he wanted this one to be it. And so I think he centered himself in whatever he had planned to get out of her. You're supposed to serve each other. You're supposed to give unto each other. And he never questioned, to me, was he able to do what she needed, even though she was telling him, no, you're fine, we're fine. I struggle to think that maybe he wasn't always this way, but he thinks he's progressive because he's clear about what he wants, not necessarily can he give her what she needs. Because whatever she needed or wherever she was in life, it didn't matter. He's like, yeah, I'm not there. So I think maybe that first marriage made him that way. And then the conversation that he had with the family members actually had him put a light upon himself. And that was, like, to me, the first time he was questioning, can I give her, can she give me what I need, but can I make it look like it's me and not her? If that makes sense. That's the only villain tea I will give him. That is manipulation. That is low-key gaslighting to me.
Good points. Mr. Don't Play said, can women handle rejection from intimacy so calm?
Anyway,
no, answer the question. Why are you swiping away?
No, I'm not answering that because that's ridiculous. This is a ridiculous question.
It's a real question. Can they actually? You see how you generalize men about how we should behave? Why are you running away from a question that generalizes women? Can they handle intimacy?
I'm not running. I'm choosing.
So why do you swipe away?
Answer it because, in my opinion,
you said it's ridiculous.
What'd you say?
You said it's ridiculous. You didn't just say no. Yeah. I'm not going to answer. You said it's ridiculous.
Well, I'm explaining and clarifying why I think it's ridiculous.
Okay,
now.
Go for it.
In my opinion, I think that is something that is done to try to equivocate what's happening here. And what I went on when I went on my whole diatribe, men and women are very different. Okay, historically, men and women have had different experiences with sex, intimacy. I'm sorry. Because the more I say it, I think it triggers people to type it in the chat. So please don't follow my lead. Don't type SEX in the chat, please, guys. When men have different relationships, men and women have different relationships with intimacy. So yeah, a woman might feel differently, may take it harder, but typically women are not being rejected by men for intimacy. It's not something that normally happens. Men are usually the initiators, and in often instances when it's on the bad side, the aggressors. So that's why for me, that question, it's like we're trying to put apples and oranges together. So I just feel like, come on, like, let's not do that. Let's be at a higher level. And the reason why when we talk about Ramses, my foot is on his neck harder because I might just give him a little grace, but it's because he positioned himself as somebody who's already had these thoughts. When you say I'm against toxic masculinity, that gives one the impression that you've done some work to really realize what that is and what it's rooted in. Because toxic masculinity is rooted in misogyny and it's rooted in patriarchy. So you should be familiar with what that looks like and how to not embody those behaviors in your relationships with women. So when I see him doing the exact opposite of that, and being toxic and masculine at the same time while pretending to be the other, I'm going to have a problem with that because you're faking. And that's disingenuous, excuse me. So yeah, it agitates me to no avail because then he gets lumped in with people like me, people like you, who really honestly try to assess themselves as men and try to look at their behaviors and make better choices and consider and be respectful of the women in our lives. So when women see guys like him, they put us in the same category. Not that I show up and look just like Ramses does, but my point is the type, we would be more in his range than he would be in ours. You know, maybe I'm jealous of his twigs because my hair doesn't grow that fast. You know what I mean? So, but all jokes aside, that's why I get so upset with him, because he's a poser. He's a fake. And yes, I mean, we can speak the obvious, but this channel is about more than that. Yes, it's great that he let her go. Yeah, that's great. I'm not going to give him a parade for it, though. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to have my foot on his neck and call him out for the other stuff that he did. And yeah, can we say, oh, Marissa should have seen better. She should have chose better. She should have saw. Yeah, that is all correct. That's all right. But what's the real root of this, though? Let's begin at the beginning. The real root is men are the leaders in relationships. We are the ones that dictate 9 times out of 10 if we're going to get married. So we are the ones that need to be setting the tone. We are the ones that need to be self-sacrificing and loving the women that we're in relationships with. And we're not going to get there by making men feel good and say, okay, yeah, if you just do a little bit more, if you just move an inch over here, you're almost there, buddy. Nah, bro. Because I'm not a woman, so I don't want you. I don't need to make you feel good to get you through another day. I'm going to tell you what I think it is, because it's stuff that I'm also learning and doing for my own self. And I didn't get there because somebody patted me on my head. I had to bump my head and knock my head into a wall and be like, oh, shoot, I thought I was good, but I still got ish to do.
I mean, you made some great points once again. I just want to make you aware that, I think the question was a valid question, because you're making generalizations again for the women. And when the question is now returned to you, or just needed an answer. If the women have never really been rejected, then you don't know how it feels to be rejected. That's why I'm saying you have to have empathy. If you've never really been rejected, right, then you don't know how it feels to be rejected. It's like when we tell women, go and approach a man and see how it feels when he says no. And then women come back and say, wow, that was hard. I can't believe I got rejected like that. Now, of course, that's all I was saying about empathy. It's not to say that you have to equate the two. It is about being able to understand another perspective. And so I feel like you're kind of generalizing, and you threw me in the same box as Ramsay. You threw me in, not the world. You did, Sean. You threw me in by saying, and you care about sex culture. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, yeah, so do you. So what are you talking about? Like, no one else threw me into that category. You threw me into that category. So the reality of the situation is, right? The reality of the situation is that there's a lot of times where we don't know what the other person's going through because we've never actually really experienced it. Do I feel like Ramses could have done better in the way he handled the situation, in some of the things that he handled? Like I said already, yes, there were things in the past that I think he could have done better, right? But the reality of the situation with this, what I'm seeing it from, is that there could be a little bit more that's happening here. You said about men are the leaders. I would agree with you. I do believe men are leaders, right? And absolutely should lead a relationship. But it takes two to tango in a relationship. So if I start engaging with you and you're not being your authentic self, that's not because of me. That's because of you. You've got to handle that. You've got to be accountable for that, right? So in the end, when you leave me or I don't get with you in the end, you're still going to be accountable for your life. So that's why I said both. That's why I said I don't like the generalization where it's sweeping, because it doesn't hold for both spaces. It holds for one. The way I'm hearing it from my perspective. Maybe I'm hearing it from the male ears. From my male ears. So far, what I'm hearing, it sounds a lot like you're only taking into consideration her perspective and not the other person's perspective. And that's where I feel like it's a little bit unbalanced, and it's why I'm pushing back a little bit, also just to kind of get a bit of a broader perspective. That's what I'm kind of saying to you. But I'm in majority of things, 90% of what we are saying, I'm actually in agreement with you. I don't think I disagree with you at all, to be honest. You know what I'm saying to you?
You know why I find your perspective on this to be dangerous, Kojo? Is because Ramses is not even an example of what you're talking about. If you want to talk about the pain of rejection, let's talk about the balloon pop show where, you know, women say whatever to the men on there and they get their feelings hurt. That would be a good example of like how we should be mindful of the way we speak to each other. Ramses is not rejected. This is all a game. This is all like he doesn't feel rejected. The whole thing with what's his face in the kitchen was not rejection. It was manipulation, and that was the whole point. And the reason why I'm pushing back is that I need the women who can hear my voice to understand that what Ramses was doing was not him being sad. It was not rejection. It was none of that. It was manipulation. And it's dangerous to me to even insinuate. I'm not trying to be like at you, Kojo, but for me, it feels dangerous to even insinuate that what Ramses was doing was rejection, because I feel like that's how women fall into this type of game. And it's not a good game to fall into. Yeah, this is a comment. Ramses was entitled. He did not feel rejected. It wasn't a husband who loves his wife, who no longer wants to do anything with him, and she can't, he can't figure out, and now he's getting sad and depressed because he feels like there's a distance between them, and he's trying to figure it out, and now he feels a little worthless, whatever. I feel like that's what you're talking about. That's not Ramses. And I think a lot of times women, we tell ourselves, oh, he feels rejected. Oh, he feels sad. When really he's just running game to try to get in your drawers, all for him to leave you rolling around on the floor. Like how Marissa was left. He did all of that to leave her rolling around on the floor, crying and screaming, darn near she looked sick. No.
And I think that's why we're missing each other. I don't think it was all manipulation. That's my point. Like, I think we're seeing it two different ways, because I'm not seeing it as all manipulation. I'm seeing it as there are genuine actual aspects of some of the things that he said that genuinely are real things that he was feeling. And I think that's why we're missing each other. So I understand if you think it's dangerous, because like I said, I've already said to you, if that kitchen conversation, we just solely base it on the fact that you think it's just the fact that he said about the PMS, then I am with you, and I would agree, then it would be dangerous. But because I said, why are we not, and it seems like you and Sean are not hearing me, why are you not including the fact that he added the other aspects, that it was outside of that, where there were other points where he felt rejected because he was trying to just touch or whatever, and it felt like rejection to him.
I hear you, Kojo.
So, do you know what I'm saying to you? So
we're not missing each other. Yeah. So now I get it. Let me just say it. I don't believe him.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I want you to know I hear you and I see you, and we actually do understand each other. I'm just saying I don't believe him. I think he's full of crap. But you're saying you do believe some of that, and you're leaving room for that, and I respect that. I'm just saying I don't. And everything he did after the fact confirms to me that I don't feel like, yeah. I just don't believe it. But you have a right to believe it. I just don't believe it.
And my point is, because I did hear you, is it doesn't matter if she's on or off her period. It's about his expectation. And I've said it a million times about him having an expectation of how and when he can be intimate with her, and basing his personal satisfaction on something physical that needs to come from her, and not taking her into account, but measuring his level of relationship satisfaction on how often she acquiesces to him sexually. And I think that is something that's rooted in misogyny. And men feeling like they own and possess women's bodies and should be entitled to have intimacy with them when they feel the urge or the need. And if they're rejected, then it becomes a problem. So yes, I heard you. I understand it. And I don't agree with you. And I think that's wrong. I think it's a radical concept for men to really take that in and digest it. But I do think it's something that men need to adjust to and change, because it is highly selfish and it is very one-sided and it's problematic. And it leads to things like this, where men feel like, oh, well, I'm just gonna find me somebody that will. And so often, unfortunately, because women are desirous of men and want to be in relationships with men and want to have families with men, many women will acquiesce. An example that we saw on reality show Love and Marriage Huntsville, when Maurice and Kimmy had cancer, and she was over here tooting her booty, to satisfy his needs. And he got on TV comfortably expressing that I have needs. So, meanwhile, this woman is on the brink of her death. And yeah, I've had a lot of things happen to me in the last year that has me have this radical approach. But me almost losing my life last year, I could not imagine if I was married, and we're not together today, but I can bet my bottom dollar my ex-wife would be stressing me about satisfying her intimate needs while I'm battling death, dealing with chemotherapy. But men do that. And guess what? It gets worse, Kojo, which is why I don't give this mofo no grace, is because she asked him. She said, what if I get sick? What if something happens to me? I believe she said, what if I have cancer? What would you do? Blank stares. There was no radical, no, babe, I get it. I totally understand. No. He was still thinking about his own needs, which means he needs to radically go back and think about his ideas on really what toxic masculinity is, because he's not even in the first chapter of the book.
So then what are they talking about in the pods? Because for me, because Marissa knows her life, this is not an admonishment of her, but what are we talking about in the pods if you're not talking to someone that this is how I am, this is how my body reacts? Can you handle that? How will you handle a spouse who is sick? I'm like, in the pods, half of these people aren't having proper conversations, because she could have caught it, because we caught it that Ramses wasn't it from the pods.
And so just to even point out, right? Yeah, that Kimmy, like you used Kimmy as an example. I did a whole video on it talking about it. So I agreed with you again. Once again, I've agreed with your point. Like that is not my point. And that's why I said you're missing me, because that's not my point. And that's why it's like, I'm not saying that point. I actually know that and acknowledge that. Nobody's saying that. That's why I keep saying to you that if it is that, then we say that, and I'm with you. But the reality of the situation is we're having conversations. This is what I think, I love what Elsa is saying, that there's a conversation, right? Because these people are not married yet. That's the whole point. They're not married yet. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So you have to see what you can work with. You know what I'm saying to you? If someone comes to you and tells you, listen, I've got X, Y, and Z, right? Sicknesses. We saw this in Married at First Sight. I've got X, Y, and Z sickness. And this is why he didn't want to, and this is why the guy in Married at First Sight didn't want to say nothing. He just kept quiet and kept on dodging her. Really and truly, we knew he wasn't on it, right? But he can't say it, because what happens? You immediately get manipulative, you get this, you're nasty, you're a villain, you're this. But the reality of the situation is, you're weighing up your decision making as whether you can actually do this for a lifelong term. If someone comes to me and says to me, I have all these sicknesses before they start a relationship, right, or marriage, I'm going to tell you honestly, I can't do it. If that's how we're starting out, I personally can't do it. You know what I'm saying to you? Now, if I get into a relationship that happens, that's completely different. But if you start off that way, I'm going to be like, hey, that's not for me. And I'm not going to lie about it and pretend as if it is what it is. You know what I'm saying to you? I'm saying that from the beginning, for me, I can't do it. But if I'm in a relationship, and that's completely different, if we're in a relationship and we're committed, then that's completely different. This is what's befalling you. But if it starts that way, no, I can't do it. So I love what you said, Elsa, about what kind of conversation were they having in the pods, because really and truly, and then that could further prove your point, Sean. Again, that he was, if they did have that conversation in the pods about what sicknesses she had, about the fact she had the autoimmune disease, and she obviously, not in PMS, because PMS is normal to me. I don't think that's a thing to discuss. But she's somebody who doesn't want to be touched, right? And you got to discuss these boundaries, because again, these are all conversations that need to be discussed. Because what I may feel like, and again, the reason why I'm kind of pushing back on it is because we're labeling everything as just being entitled. But if, let's say, for instance, I don't know something. Let's say, for instance, me and Sean, you're not going to say pause, because you're handsome and delicious, and you're not going to do that anymore. So let's say me and you in a relationship, yeah, and yeah, don't say anything. Now me and you in a relationship, okay, yeah, and I touch your shoulder, but you now tell me that, you know what, I don't like being touched on the shoulder, and I say to you, bro, you know what, I can't lie to you, I just feel a little bit rejected in that moment when I touch your shoulder. Am I now being entitled to your body by telling you that? Do you see what I'm saying to you? And if now I realize that actually in the course of the relationship, that you have a lot more moments where I can't touch you, and I can't figure out also when I can touch you, and it's a bit confusing for me, and I say to you, do you know what, it's not for me, I'm going to have to bow out. I don't know if I actually can do this long term. Am I being entitled? Am I being manipulative by doing that? Or am I saying to you the truth, which is, I actually just can't do this. It's not for me. I'm a person that likes to touch, and I need that relationship. Now, again, I'm making it very clear that this is not about the PMS, so I want to make it very clear so we don't fight on that angle. I'm trying to make it more general in the aspect, so we come to that holistic aspect, and maybe that's why I'm missing you guys too. You know what I mean? Maybe that's why I'm also missing you guys as well. You know what I mean? Just out there as well.
Yeah, I don't know why you want to hear PMS when I speak, but I don't even say it. I don't even talk about her being on her cycle. Like the last 2 or 3 times we've gone back and forth, it's not even about that. I've said 1,000,001 times, it's not about that. It's about overall him feeling entitled to her body. Point blank, period. Off cycle, on cycle.
So can you address
and
what my point was?
And I think him basing his needs on how often he has access to her body is rooted in a problematic place. And that's something that men need to deal with. Okay? And I hate to do this, but somebody in here talked about me pandering. Look,
no, I don't think you're pandering, bro.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, whoever you are, you're brand new. Okay, whoever is saying that, you're brand new, because there's nobody. There's 1,000 people on the internet. What am I gonna do with that? Okay, nor have I any desire. I want to remain single. So just for anybody, I want to remain single. I'm happy in my singledom.
I want to come to a wedding. No, you're not gonna remain single. I want to come to a wedding. You are not remaining single.
Today, not tomorrow.
I'm praying for you. You go and get married.
Because there are things that I need to deal with personally. So I want to focus on me. So I'm very happily single, and I'm not looking to be chosen, and I'm not saying things that's going to tickle any woman's ear. Actually, a lot of women buy into the patriarchy and uphold it. So some of this stuff is a turnoff for some of those women. There's some women
they've been virtually throwing their little draws at you for some years now. You ain't took not one of them. So
not a one. Okay. So I've never, before I've had this awakening, I've never been the one that needs all this attention. I'm very secure in myself. Okay. I don't need a whole lot of attention. Okay. So I'm not saying this to make anybody feel good. So whoever you are out there, sometimes it's good for us to be silent, and you might just be a man. And a few shows ago, I told Kojo, sometimes it's good for us to be quiet. If you are a man, exercise that option. Sometimes just stay away from your keyboard and just listen, because you might learn something. Because that's how I learned. I shut up and I listened to somebody that was saying something that was totally opposed to anything that I had ever thought, and then I learned. But if you're talking, engaging, and judging and criticizing, then you're not going to hear. And guess what? I'm probably more right than I'm wrong, because it's what I'm saying. If you do it, you're going to have better relationships with women, excuse me. As a man, you're going to have better relationships with women if you listen to what I'm telling you to do. But if you listen to your instincts, you're going to have an oppositional relationship with the women that you're in relationships with, because you're constantly going to be tussling back and forth. It's a lot of work, because men and women are different. We have different experiences. And when you lean into that as a man and be like, oh, shoot, just like somebody said, I know me. Women, I could not deal with a period, a menstrual cycle once. Forget about on a monthly basis. I couldn't deal with it. We're not designed to. So how about we lean into understanding it's a Freudian slip. See, again, I'm also unpacking my homophobia. So I really don't care. I really don't care. So if you think I'm gay, I really don't care, because you're not my target audience anyway. So I don't care. So you can think I'm gay. Great.
Hold on, I'm crying.
Next.
I'm crying. Sean, what is it?
Why
You
are you
all one
cooking like
today.
that? What's wrong with you,
Sean
Sean? Why are
is
you cooking
fired
like that?
up. Sean is fired up.
Why are you cooking them like that, Sean? What's wrong with you? Vanessa, welcome to the conversation.
Wait, what was the question? Like, cause I was hearing the chat and I was like, oh my God, like you guys sound so interesting. But what was like the question? Like, who are you focusing on right now? Like, who are you
To be
focusing
fair,
on?
we'll
Now
just
she
literally
coming up here like Phil did yesterday.
we're literally talking about Marissa and Ramsay. So
Oh my God, I think Ramses is like the biggest villain of all time. I'm so sorry, but Ramses is the biggest villain because I'm just like he pulled a Jimmy where like he waited till like the very last minute before wedding day to call it off with her, and I'm just like, why would you wait all the way the day before wedding day to break it off with her? Because you like dragged her along basically, thinking that she was gonna get married. You made her try on wedding dresses. Why didn't you warn her before she tried on wedding dresses? I don't know. I almost cried for him. I mean for Marissa, because I was just like, there's just no way he pulled a Jimmy and like broke up like with her right before the wedding when she was happy to go to the altar and get married potentially. And it's like, like I thought they were gonna get married, and I was like, that's so sad. Like, because they were actually one of the most genuine couples to me.
I prefer he do it now, if you heard me before, than at the altar. I'm sorry. He would have been the villain if he did it in front of her family. This is the villain light that Sean was talking about before. If he had done it in front of that altar, I couldn't forgive him, because then I would have to put him in the same vein as Clay, like what Clay did to AD at all.
Can you imagine her rolling on the floor at the altar? Oh my God. Y'all think we was crying today? Oh, we would have been, if we would see her do that deep cry at
Oh
the
my God,
altar,
yeah.
I would have lost it. I
And
would have lost
Mama diving to the altar to grab Ramsay's two twigs that you talked
it.
about.
Would have been a fight. If he would have pulled that out the altar, y'all, my soul, my soul. Oh my Lord.
But I feel like
It would have
in
been
general,
Texas. It would have been Texas all over. Who was
Somebody
it?
would have had to get him.
Nancy's brother?
Oh yeah.
Nancy's brothers wanted to fight? It would have been that.
And that mama looked like she throws hands and feet. So I think, it would have been a situation. Yeah, they definitely would have jumped him. And I wouldn't have felt bad either. I'm not gonna lie. Call it a double standard. They would have jumped him. I wouldn't have felt bad. I'd be like cheering them on. Call it a double standard. I'll take it.
go for it, Lorraine or Jay, whichever one you want to jump in. I mean, okay. So wait, we've exhausted this Marissa and Ramsay thing. I'm sure we have, right? We'll probably fight after this anyway, myself and Sean. But I need to show a bit of toxic masculinity to him, to him, to remind him. But obviously, jokes aside, obviously, this situation has come to a point where now they didn't get married. We've seen obviously Garrett and Taylor, they've got married. And obviously Tyler and Ashley got married. We spoke about Tyler and Ashley a little bit earlier on as well. I guess I want to ask a question. Are these parents villains? Because we're talking about villains today. So are some of these parents villains? We've got Ashley's dad. And it seems like she's got her pops as well, which is either her stepdad or granddad, whichever one of the two. We've got Marissa's mum, right? Are these people villains as well? Are we going to? I mean, we didn't even get to see Ramsay's parents because they're somewhere else. I don't know where they are, but they ain't trying to talk to him. So
yes,
are the parents villains? Yes, Wait, you want to say that? Go for it.
Yes, it is so important to be a good dad in your daughter's life, even if you can't make it work with the mom. You still instill the values, because I think a lot of the pick me behavior that's coming from Ashley or whatever is coming from two things. One, she saw her dad dog her mom out at some point before her mom, I guess, got a better stepdad, so that was good. But the way she talked about that relationship was if even that relationship still had its problems. But I don't know, she didn't go into it, but I sensed that. And then the other thing is that her own dad basically seemed like he wasn't crap. And what I've noticed is that these women who have a lot of pick me behavior, it really starts from a lot of times their dad showing them that they didn't have any value, not value enough to stay. It's very serious, and it really affects these women. And then you have the audacity to come around and talk about, you a ride or die.
Because that's what you want in your life when you was running around being a Rolling Stone. And then Marissa's mama just seemed like she ain't got no sense, so she ain't taught her daughter nothing. It seems like Marissa raised herself. Because if that's what that mama act like right now, I don't know what type of values she instilled in Marissa. The fact that Marissa seems to be this good of a person now, thank God. Because her mama seemed like she ain't got no god dog sense. So, yeah, they're definitely villains. But this is what happens. Can you imagine if Ramses has a kid right now? Parents are just imperfect people having kids. That's it. Look at the deadbeat. He has kids. What's going to happen to them? They're all victims.
I don't see Tyler as a villain.
Huh?
Like, I said, I don't see Tyler as a villain.
What
No,
do you
no,
see
we're
him
talking about,
as?
we're talking about the parents. We're talking about parents.
Well,
Parents.
oh, parents, my fault.
Yeah,
Okay.
the parents. Yeah, parents.
But how is Tyler not? Wait, you're not a villain for abandoning your kids? That's okay?
No,
Wait,
not.
Parents. I know we're gonna go down that lane. No, do it.
I just never heard that before. I was fascinated.
I know we're gonna go down that lane. Parents, please. We gonna talk about after. I know it's gonna go down that lane. Parents.
Lord have mercy.
Stick to the parents because we got Tyler's mum. We haven't mentioned that. Tyler's mum. You know what I'm saying? She, I want to know is Tyler's mum is Marissa's
Tyler's mom and
Dad.
So is the dad a
Thank
drunk?
you.
Where's the dad? Because they said that's why he ain't here.
So we should level the playing field. Is what you're saying to me?
No, it's two parents, right? Two parents make a child. Even in Tyler's situation, it took two of them to make it, right?
But forget the mom. The mom at least was there. What's going on with the dad? The dad was a drunk. Where was he at?
Tyler told him not to come. That was the conversation.
But why though?
Tyler did not invite him.
They said he was sick or something. Like he got himself in that situation. They kept on saying.
Yeah, because he didn't have a relationship with his child. Tyler don't realize he got 3 coming up.
Oh, just like he don't have one with his kids. Okay.
There you go. Repeating the cycle. Rinse and repeat.
Elle said, don't that remind you of David, my favorite David from Ready to Love, who was crying in the camera because his parents got divorced, yet he done wrecked 3 homes?
3 homes.
So these parents.
It's not just the parents, Kojo. Because I would say the universe was against Ashley. Because even the officiant was telling her to hold on and hold on tight. I did not like, it's like everybody was telling Ashley, don't you even think about leaving. But yes, the parents have something involved in this. The parents kind of, this is the ground that all these people grew out of, the parents. And I'm wondering, even if you have therapy, you may need some therapy with your parent. But yeah, I was definitely not happy with Ashley's entire ceremony. I felt that ceremony was just pounding into her, from her father to her conversation with her mom and grandma. Everything was do not quit, do not quit, do not quit.
Well, there's a lot of old pick-me's who teach their kids that. You should even see the stuff that be said at like bridal showers and things like that. You should see some of the advice that I had to completely disregard that I received at my bridal shower. I don't listen to these old male identified pick-me's. You really have to like set that aside. And the reason why I don't listen to them is because of my dad. My dad raised me just like he did, my brothers, which, there's good things and bad things in that, but just never, I'm sorry, people keep texting me, but never in my life will I just be a male identified pick-me. There's so many, I would light my butt on fire and roll around in glass before I be a male identified pick-me. But a lot of these older women, like that's the reason why you need to be able to kind of push back respectfully. Like y'all know, everyone who knows me know I love my abuela. I love my grandma to death. She literally is like my heart outside of my body. But she has a lot of male identified things because she's 93. And me and her, we'll talk. I said, Grandma, that's you being male identified today. And we laugh about it because she knows she comes from a different, generation. Sometimes you have to be able to tell the people that you love from a different generation that, you know, I think you're carrying, I think that's very male identified. Like, for example, she told me, because I don't like going to the grocery store and I don't like cooking. She said, what type of wife don't go to the grocery store or cook? You ain't a wife. I said, nah, I said, Grandma, that's being very misogynistic. I don't agree with you. You just gotta tell them I don't agree with you and then move on. You know what I mean? They're gonna have their opinions, but don't make your life decisions off of these you know, people from a different generation opinion, because they carrying a lot of misogyny and it's not their fault. But don't get married based on what they saying. Okay? Just tell them respectfully.
I like that.
Go for it, Sean.
They asking. They thought you had some work to do, but you hanging out with us longer.
Oh yeah. The workers didn't turn up, so it is what it is.
Oh,
But go for it.
Look what God did.
Sorry, not perfect, but we're happy to have
No,
you.
it's
trying
perfect.
to push him
I
out?
like it. Go on, Sean.
Yeah, no, I definitely think. Listen, if we go by everything that we've learned, the things that you talk about here, we got to blame the parents. The parents are accountable, because they were the show coaches. Even in absenteeism, they are the show coaches, because you cannot be there and also leave damage. So trust me, and sometimes the not being there is more damage than being there, you know, and sometimes being there is more damage than not. But anyway, I hold them both, you know, they're accountable. And I think we've often seen that some mothers, when they're left as single parents, feel the need to be both. And then there's just a very interesting dynamic that they create with their kids, especially their sons. So you think about Tyler and how tough he said his mom was with him, that shaped his opinion of women. So in his mind, women are tough. Women can take it, you know. Women can be treated, you know, any way that I see fit. But as long as I'm nice on the surface, then there's something I can get from them, right? He's used to his mother providing and taking care of. Hence, allegedly, based on the receipts and the court records, he owes a lot of women money, right? But that's what he's used to, because he's used to women taking care of him and taking and taking. And he's never got past his infant stage to realize, as an adult man, you shouldn't be taking from women in that capacity. But he hasn't learned that lesson, and he's taking again when it comes to Ashley. He's taking advantage of her kindness, taking advantage of the fact that she wants to be married so bad, and he knows that. And where did he learn that from? In absence of a male. Go ahead. Sorry, I'll sit.
But as we said before, Tyler couldn't move this way if and Ashley did not accept him.
Well, I've been saying that. That's what I say every time I get up here. That pick-me's are the root of all evil. But to be honest, I mean, it's all a cycle, because if you think about it, we shouldn't blame Tyler no more than we blame everyone who's a part of the story. Because if Tyler has done bad, but he's a reflection of his mother, a reflection of his environment, he's a reflection of all of the women that enable him. I mean, Ashley is with him currently, and what we do know, which is a fact, is that he hasn't seen his kids. So to me, she's no different than him. And that's just how I see it. I don't need a reunion to explain that. He hasn't seen his kids, and unless we're going to find out that he's tried to see his kids and the baby mom blocked, which I don't believe that, right? Like, to me, there's nothing else that needs to be said. And this is the same person who was abandoned by her father, who was contributing to the abandonment of 3 kids. I have nothing for Ashley. And honestly, I almost feel like she mentally is a little stronger than he is. He's just one of those people who does whatever he can do to survive. He is a gigolo. Tyler is a gigolo. He is going wherever he can lay his head.
He's now been bought fully, Seaway.
Yeah,
So is he now husband?
He's been bought and purchased by Ashley, and that's his situation now. So to me, I mean, Ashley, you're just as, or if not more, accountable, because you already know that this man will probably, Tyler's the type of person who would go see his kids if Ashley said it's okay with her. I promise you he would. He's one of those type of people. If the wife says, okay, you can go see your kids, he'll go see them. If she says, no, then he won't. Because he going wherever the money is at.
Now, as I said earlier, I don't think Ashley's expressly telling him not to see his kids. But I don't know Ashley. I can't put my life on the line for that. But what I do think could be happening is that in order to not rock the boat, he probably won't even go there and, shake that up. That could be a possibility. She may not directly say, don't see your kids, but if you know that's going to affect her reaction and behavior to you, then you may, depart and say, I'm not even going to knock that.
So the question, how is she contributing? She's an accomplice. She's married to the man. So they're one. So if he's not seeing his kids, you guys are not seeing his kids. You guys are one. You're an accomplice. That is what it is. This is something that you were made aware, even if you're made aware that it's sperm donor babies, whatever. At this point, though, you decided to stay married to him and not allege fraud. Then you are now accepting the amendment to the contract. And now you know that he has 3 kids. I'm always baffled by, and this is not shade towards nobody in the comments, I'm just saying in general, I see a lot how women could be so upset at Tyler for what he did, but then somehow find a way to separate Ashley staying with him and then also contributing to him not seeing his kids by staying. There's a lot of things I would do in life I could look past. I could never lay next to a man who has abandoned his kids. No.
Heck, you could even, now that he's married and he has a wife, y'all could even definitely have a strong case to petition for visitation, custody, all of that stuff. Truly. If you wanted to go that route.
Well, to everybody's point, it's as long as they're still married, that $30,000 judgment now is partially a part of her, whether she's going to have to pay it or it's going to come out of money that would be going into her household. And those things don't go away. So
that's just one judgment.
Yeah, that's one. So, I mean, but the child support, I mean, the small claims court or whatever that thing is, that can be adjudicated out. That can go, like there's so many twists and turns that can go. But child support, that don't go away. And it could also lead to being in prison. So
child support, that now is going to be adjusted up for her salary. That now is going to be a responsibility of the household. That is now your arrearage. That is now behind. You can have your license suspended where you cannot even drive to the security office at the nuclear plant. And then you could be placed in bracelets. So it's a lot going on there.
Hey, kind of skills. But she prefers that than the alternative, because a woman like Ashley, who's been dreaming of this wedding dress, not the actual wedding, not the actual marriage, but the wedding dress in the marriage her whole life, is not going to allow 3 bastard kids, because that's how she views them, to disrupt her dream that she has in her head. The dream that she has in her head is a fine man all to herself that gets her coffee, where they can start their own family, and not these mixed match kids. These mixed match kids were not in her idea, in her dream that she wrote down in her little diary book. So it's because of that, she's not going to allow the mixed match kids by this whole messy situation disrupt that.
Y'all don't act in the comments like we don't know this, like we have not seen this, or maybe we were the dastardly kid that the wife wanted nothing to do with.
To get back to the original question, it gets even worse, because, correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler's mom also scrubbed the internet of the kids from her social media. His mama is most definitely a villain, an accomplice, complicit.
Because she's just doing whatever her son want her to do. She just going
because she feels guilty.
I mean, Ashley probably taking care of all three of them. She's probably taking care of the mom and Tyler.
I don't know about it.
What? How you get to there?
Wait, how did you...
I was talking about Tyler's mom. You lost me.
Ashley could be taking care of her. Tyler, or maybe Tyler's mom said, "Good, I ain't got to take care of this grown man no more." So she like, maybe whatever Ashley say go.
See where it's gonna be that argument. All roads go back to Ashley being a pick-me.
Maybe Ashley is the investor in the drywall company.
I can't stand a pick-me. I literally can't.
I understand that. Vanessa, would you like to jump in? I know you wanted to chime in this a little bit earlier, so they've taken me down this lane. So
really?
You guys.
Oh wait, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm like my audio for whatever. Could you guys hear me? Because like I was trying to talk, like I was like
no, we can't hear you.
Myself.
I can't hear you. I can't even hear a word you said.
Really? Hold up.
Yeah, I can't hear the fact that you hear.
Wait, could you hear me now?
No, because you said your audio. We can't hear you, so I can't hear you.
Vanessa,
could you hear me now?
With you. We can hear you.
Vanessa, he's responding. He can hear you.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, before I was like, okay, but I don't know, with the whole Ashley and Tyler situation, I'm just like, honestly, they seem really good on TV. So I'm just like, I'm gonna believe that like we got another beautiful black couple. Like I'm not gonna feed into the whole internet drama anymore. I'm just like, if they're happy on camera, then I think Ashley knows everything. And I even heard some tea that like Ashley, like she was fine with the whole situation. Like Tyler's friend was even saying like yeah, like Ashley's friend, like she was literally okay with this. So it seems that Ashley, she is proud of the situation. I think that there is more to the story, because even the baby mama who spoke out about it, she verified herself on the, I think, either Instagram or TikTok. No, she verified herself on Instagram. So I'm just like, did she do all this for clout now? I don't know, but I'm like, the people who just keep on spilling, and I said this on my channel, people who keep on spilling tea about Tyler, I'm just like, if they seem happy on TV, why do people still keep on coming out? Is this a level of hate? Like, I feel like that the situation is smaller than it is. I don't know. Call me crazy, but
crazy. So
you just
even without, she said, "Call me crazy." Even without the children, and I hate to say that. What? She asked for an honest response. I gave a response. Don't ask a question you don't wish the answer to. I mean, Sean. So, taking that apart, I am not going to be saddled with a husband that is carrying that kind of debt and judgments, setting the whole situation with the kids aside. Just alone, you have so many financial judgments against you that you are now bringing into this household that's going to affect our credit, affect our ability to buy a home. That is a lot of heavy baggage that I'm not going to allow. I cannot say to someone that they should join in union with someone like this, setting the whole issue with the children aside. Now, bringing the children into this, you have 3 children that you now owe on a monthly basis for their upkeep. Now you have added my funds to that. So setting all that other murky stuff, there's a fact. He has 3 children he has child support for. He has judgments against him. You can pull that in the court records of the District of Columbia. How are you going to argue with court documents? the man owes this money. So whether she seems happy, yeah, everybody seems happy. There are women who are in other relationships who seem happy, who may not be. So just because you seem happy on TV, there are other underlying factors in there. But I can't in good conscience say to any lady, if Ashley was my friend, the judgments alone, I'm sorry. Girlfriend, you got to think about this, talk about it. And if you understand the heavy lifting and then you want to lift that heavy, go ahead and lift. But I'm your friend. I'm going to be way back there, way back there.
With the whole finances, that's what confuses me because Tyler's friend was on TikTok with Storytime with Ricky. I don't know if you guys follow her. And Tyler's friend was like, oh, like the debt that Tyler has doesn't even seem like real, and he may be shocked in a reunion if he finds out about like debt that he may have. And I'm just like, if Tyler's friend, well, I know I like maybe I shouldn't believe Tyler's friend, but he was saying something that was like very interesting to me. He was like, okay, I don't think if Tyler had the debt, he would have already paid it up because Tyler was in a good area and he seems to be making good money. So I'm just like, I don't know if the debt is even true. I
Vanessa,
don't
is
know.
that the same friend that came back and apologized for speaking and he said that Tyler tricked him too? The white man, you talking about him?
I'm talking about him. Well, I heard about that, but I'm just like,
He came
I
back and
was
said he apologized for speaking on Tyler. He was misinformed and that man's a liar. He came back and said that.
I think I said something. I haven't seen the video, but I think he said something like that. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
he already came back and said he apologized for defending Tyler, his financial situation, and his deadbeat activities. So
Then if I'm shocked at the reunion, I'm gonna be very shocked. But like, I'm just like, if this like a whole like for the debt situation, I'm just like, did the debt get higher? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just like, does Ashley know and like, are they trying to work to at least pay it off together? I'm just like, if like I'm getting married and I'm like in that much debt, I may be a little bit like questionable. Like, oh man, like, because I know how it feels to be in debt. So it's like. It's kind of like it reminds me of Stacy and Izzy when like Stacy found out about like Izzy. I mean, yeah, found out about like Izzy was in like so much debt, like he had bad credit, and I'm just like, is this gonna be then the same situation with Tyler and Ashley after the wedding, and will there be a plot twist at the reunion? Because if there's a plot twist at the reunion, then it's a situation like that in terms of finance wise. So I don't know. I'm just so confused. I'm like trying to grasp like, is this true? But like I'm like they seem very well on TV. So I'm just like sometimes the internet like may not be true. Like Ashley was even saying like this unauthenticated like stuff. So I'm just like, should I believe the internet or should I believe what I'm seeing on like Netflix? I honestly don't know. I'm so confused. And this is like not a way to like strictly do like um strictly to like act like a devil's advocate, but I'm just like, should I give Tyler grace or should I like go with what the internet is saying and being like,
No.
Ashley needs to break up?
Give
Like
whatever you
I
want,
don't.
Vanessa. You don't have to cave to the
I
pressure. If you
I
want
feel
to give
like
him grace,
I need
you
to
give
give
him grace,
Tyler.
baby.
Like I believe in Tyler and Ashley's marriage.
Vanessa,
Don't let.
I'm gonna
Vanessa, are
assert
you
my
being
patriarchy
funny right
and tell
now?
you
No, she's
don't
not.
do it.
Vanessa, stand 10
Is she
toes
not
down.
being? Are you not
Whatever
being
you
funny? Are
believe,
you being
Vanessa.
serious?
No. Whatever you
Jojo is
believe, Vanessa.
being
It's whatever you believe,
facetious.
Vanessa. Don't let them twist
Vanessa,
you. Stand 10 toes down. We respect all
I'm
opinions
gonna
here.
assert my
If you
male
believe you want to give him
dominance
grace,
and tell
give him
you
grace.
no, don't
Don't
do
let them
it.
twist you up. Don't let them twist you
Vanessa,
up. You may
don't let
have good
nobody.
reason.
Don't loan
Come to
nobody
the
no
light.
money. Don't listen to nobody. Don't hop
Don't.
in no Ubers that don't say the Uber
This is
sign.
Kojo and
Don't
Dark
do
Arts
that.
coming at you fast and furious.
No,
Do
Vanessa.
not
You got to let the
refuse
audience
those
know that what
thoughts
you stand.
Cause I'm
of
like,
giving guys like Tyler any grace, because that's how they exist. They
Go on,
exist
Vanessa.
in
Explain
grace.
it.
see, if they're
Explain
broken
it.
about the reunion, I would have been like, you know what? I'm
Mm-hmm.
so dumb. I was so wrong. Wow. Like
Yeah.
I'm so bad at reading comprehension. But like, if they're still together on the reunion, I'm be like, you know what? That's a true couple. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I believe them from day one. Whatever was on the internet is fake. That is some fake social media stuff that's going on out of hate, out of jealousy. I don't care. Like what I'm seeing on TV, I'm like. Am I the only one who believes like they're an actual real marriage? Like they're good, like they're the next Brett and Tiffany. I don't know. Like I was like when I saw the wedding, I
I
was like,
believe
oh
them.
my God, like finally a black married couple. Like I
Come
don't
on.
know.
Vanessa, you're not being
They
Vanessa,
serious
are
right
they
now.
are as good as the one from the before. What's his name? Brett and old girl. You on the
Kojo,
ball. I'm with you,
Kojo.
Vanessa. I'm with
Vanessa
you,
gotta be
Vanessa.
trolling. This is
They
not
are.
real.
No, she's not. This is 10 toes down. Send 10 toes down, Vanessa.
No, well, let me ask Vanessa a question. Vanessa, if placed in Ashley's position, where the gentleman had 3 kids he did not tell you about, and he is no longer seeing his 3 kids, will that be acceptable to you that he has technically no longer seen his kids and carrying this much debt? And you're going
Wait,
to
you talking
help
about
him?
Clay?
No, I'm talking about
Sorry, I heard.
Tyler.
Oh, okay. And if you're putting me in Ashley's shoes.
Yes, will you accept, as Ashley has accepted, that he is not seeing his
Accept it,
children,
Vanessa.
and then he has all this debt? Are you going to accept to pay his child support and pay down his debts?
Well, okay, if it's like debt, that will be a really long conversation. And 9 times out of 10, if
That's
it's
right.
like a financial situation, I don't know, like I would have to likely, if it's gonna affect me to the point where like I can't buy a house, like I literally cannot move on my
The
own and be
child support
independent.
will do
Like
that to you, Vanessa. The child
yeah, I
support
will
I'll
will
break
allow
up
go.
with
that.
you. Like I need somebody who's gonna be
You can clear the
financially
debt.
stable and career driven. So like no, I have to break up with you. But I'm saying like if this was like without the financial aspect included, like and it was just the kid situation, I would try to work it out because
How
I
are
could
He's
you
see
six
where
figures as
working?
Ashley's
well.
coming.
Would it
Vanessa, he's
be
got
like
6
I
figures as
would see
well.
where
Vanessa,
I
he's
would
6
see
figures as
where
well, you
in
know.
the beginning? What you would bypass that he lied to you and you found out much later on after
well,
you
cause
already
see,
told
I would give him grace for not mentioning in the pods. See, cause
three
I mean,
Yes.
I know, and I
That's right,
know
Vanessa.
Jessica in the pods mentioned that she had kids from last season, but I'm just like, okay, I would kind of understand why he didn't mention it, and I wouldn't just leave
I
him just
understand
for
that.
that, like out of the brim. Like, you know what? I'm breaking up with you right now because you didn't mention that you had 3 kids in the pods. Like, no, okay, let me see what the kids look like. If I'm really invested to get married on the show, I'm gonna try to make it work 10 times,
Absolutely.
unless a person is like controlling or like just they breaks one of like my small boundaries that like I just cannot accept from a man. But it's just like if it's like okay, you didn't tell me to pause. Like for example, like with the whole Izzy and Stacey situation, Stacey was mortified when Izzy was like Izzy didn't tell him about like his debt, whatever like that. And I'm like maybe like they could have like maybe the reason why Izzy didn't tell her in the pause is because he was scared that he was gonna get rejected from her just from straight and being in the pause. I'm just also just like Stacey, like Johnny was giving you hints that like Izzy was not good with his finances. So I'm just like, I mean, when people don't really be their full self in the pods, I'm just like, you know what? Let me learn about you outside of the pods. Let me see what you're like outside of the pods. Let me see if you're gonna change, and we could work through this and actually like get married and be one of those married couples, like the collection of like the Love Is Blind friendship. It's like if I want to get married, like eventually, like I like because don't get me wrong, like at 33, you're gonna be desperate. You're gonna be desperate to find that person. But I'm just like, if it's like too many red flags, like okay, the finances were like, okay, we can't even buy a house. We have to live with our parents, and like we can't even like get up on our own 2 feet. Oh no, I'm breaking up with you. We can't even get a car. I'm breaking up with you because like I'm a high maintenance woman. I want the luxury stuff. So yeah.
Can I
That's
just
right.
say thank
Vanessa, and you
you?
can always use cash, Vanessa. You can always use cash.
Can I just say thank
Don't let these
you?
people tell you that.
I just want to say thank you to Vanessa. Vanessa, you have cracked me the F up today.
What?
You are one of the funniest people I think
Stand
I
10
have
toes down, Vanessa.
encountered in a long time. I really appreciate you. I'm being dead serious. This has really made my
Really? Oh
I had a
Stand 10
really
toes down,
long
Vanessa.
day,
Stand 10
and
toes
this
down.
really made my day. I really appreciate it.
Believe what you
This
have to
is really
believe.
funny.
It's
and
better
just
to be
ignore
wrong
the
than wrong.
comments.
that means a lot because I have no
Stay away
friends.
from the comment section, please. We beg, because we
Not
want
Sean
you to
saying don't look at it.
free.
She gonna look
Oh,
at it now. She gonna look
Vanessa,
at it now.
are you young? Or are you of a particular age like the rest of us?
Oh, I'm a college student. I'm like 20, but I'm like I
Oh, you
like
20, Vanessa?
yeah. If that's
Oh,
too
forget what
young.
you ever just said. Listen, hold on, stop. Whatever you just said is nonsense. I'm sorry. I was playing with you because I thought you were the same age as us. You are 20. Let me be very, very responsible.
Oh,
That
I'm so
Negro, don't even
sorry.
think about it. I'm sorry. I thought she was our age. No,
Yeah,
no, no,
that's
no,
why I
no.
thought she
Baby,
was
you are
We
young.
young.
appreciate you.
Let that go. Don't even think about it.
Run
Don't
from
dream about it. Don't
Tyler's.
smell it. Don't taste it.
Yes,
Run.
please.
Run.
I
Yes,
was playing
yes,
along with
please.
you, but you 20 and young, baby. You don't even want to smell that thing. Okay?
Yeah, well, number one, Vanessa, don't have small boundaries. I need you to have large boundaries. Um, and then number two, just don't give anybody grace. Just start there. Grace is for like 25 and up. If you see something crazy, don't give no grace.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking
That
about
was
like
the
I've never been
carnage.
in a relationship. Like I've never dated in my life. Well, I've been in situationships. So it's like when I watch this show, I'm like, how am I it's so invested if like I've never like I'm trying to find out like why am I so invested in this show if I've never been like in a relationship? Like,
I
I don't know.
understand.
So it's
Oh,
like, for
Yeah, but those
me,
type
like,
of
there's
issues
nothing
don't
wrong
pop
with
up
that.
at 20.
Hold on.
Vanessa, the issues that they're dealing with, those are old hoes issues. You know, those are like different type.
oh yeah,
You shouldn't be dealing with any of those type of issues. No kids, no debt, no none of that. At 20, that should not be your experience.
Absolutely.
So just, you know, if you encounter any of that or any older people, then
oh yeah, no, I'm a run.
yeah, everything should be no kids,
I'm talking
no
about if I'm
debt.
33 and I'm on Love is Blind. Like, how would I approach it? Like, if I've literally been rejected after rejected at every relationship, and now I'm 33 and I'm desperate and I want to be married now and I want to have the family, how would I react to them 10 years later? But I'm saying now, oh, I wouldn't let all that fly by me. Like, no, Like,
You
even
won't know,
if
you
I,
won't know until you get there, and hopefully you won't be there because unfortunately, once you become 33 on Love is Blind, a lot of
well, I'm
people
not going on this show.
feel like their options are limited or they're over, and then men like Tyler prey on that, you know, or 31, whichever, right? They prey on that desperation. So whether you're 31, 33, or 41, I think you just have to remember that you have value, you're chosen, God loves you, you have value to this life, and you should never lower your standards and allow yourself to become victim to men preying on your desperation. So that's just that. So, but hopefully you'll find your person before that and you'll stick with them and you don't have to worry about that, child. But
What
Yeah,
happens then,
please.
Ashley, is she would have high walls at 20s, possibly. Possibly, I don't want this, I don't want this. And then time got away from her. She's
That's true.
following in her career. She's elevating. Time gets away from her. And now she's like, oh, okay, I got to take this seriously. Now she's 30. Now she's on the show at 31. So that's how it gets away because it's hyper focused on your career. And then all of a sudden you're looking both ways. The same thing Taylor said. Taylor and Garrett said that. Hyper focus on the career, hyper focus on getting where they're getting. And now they're like, wait a minute, I kind of fell to the side about finding, a spouse or a mate. But it's not just finding them, sometimes people come across your path, and it's also a matter of recognizing the person when they come across your path.
so was this Leah or Lay? I forgot. Tell me how to say your name. But
It's Lee.
Lee, a lot of the white folks, they do practice on trying to find their husband in college. And I think, I'm assuming you're Black, Vanessa. That's a lot of stuff that we do wrong as Black women. I'm not saying forfeit your career and stuff because I didn't, of course, but definitely get some practice in of trying to looking for quality men. It may not be your husband at 20, but it's a good time to practice trying to find what quality
Yes.
men look like now. And that takes like slowing down, listening, because you talk really fast. You
Oh
can't vet,
yeah.
you can't vet a man if you're talking too much. Actually, I let men hang themselves back in the day before I got married. When I was getting to know a man, I don't do a whole lot of talking. I do a whole lot of observing and listening because what I realized is that a man is going to tell you what's going on without you doing all that talking. So I would say just do a lot of listening and don't talk too much. Just listen. It'll help.
And don't create the narrative. Listen to exactly what he says. Don't blend it up in your mind that he means this. If you don't know what he means, ask for clarity.
Yeah, I've been told like never to overshare, like, but always just like it's better from the listener.
Yeah, just
I
listen.
would the only little bit of advice, I'm going to insert myself here.
Decenter yourself, Sean.
I am in a second, and I'm probably going to get some people aggravated. But if you're in college, I want to assume, Vanessa,
Oh yeah.
you're almost finished.
I have a semester left.
Focus on finishing college, focusing on the things that make you happy, focus on the things that you want to do to impact this world. Don't center your experiences around men.
That's also true.
And when you do that, you're going to be in spaces that the right men are in that you're going to attract.
Mm-hmm.
but don't just go to college with the idea. And I'm not saying you are, but I know sometimes people give that advice because they say they found their spouse in college, and you might, but don't do that with the purpose, because when you're not fulfilling yourself, that's when things happen like this with Ashley, because your sole focus is on looking for a person to fill in the gaps for you, and only you and Jesus, really. And I don't know if you're a believer, but he's the only one
I'm a
that fills the
believer.
void. Other people are compliments. Your spouse is a compliment to you. So it's not saying don't. I'm not saying don't find a husband, don't get in a relationship, but don't center it. Don't make that your sole existence. Because when it doesn't, then now you're questioning yourself, because sometimes it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find them later in life, but it's at that right time. So I just see a lot of women and people putting pressure, do it here, do it there. No, do it when it's right for you.
Oh yeah, I'm waiting for like the right time. Like me, like realistically, like me right now, I don't want marriage right now. Like I'm focused more on like my career, and then I'll see if I even want marriage, because I don't want to stay single for the rest of my life. Because see, I'm not really like a lover girl. I'm more of like a career girl who like focus on myself, who really just wants to like be independent, get on my own 2 feet. Like my life, I've never like wanted marriage, like not even marriage, like just a relationship so badly. Like even though I talk about it for jokes, me like I'm like being in a relationship is the last thing that I want, because I'd rather like be well established first, and then like 10 or even 20 years later, then like I could provide for the other person.
Who are you providing for?
Like I'm saying no, like
Tyler.
no.
You'll be right
Like
back there,
no,
baby.
that's for Ashley. That's for Ashley.
I thought we was making progress, and you just start saying providing. Who you providing for?
No, I'm saying when I get, if I even get to that point in like marriage, I'd say then, like, cause I'm like, first, I need to be well established. And then if like, cause me right now, like, I'm not even thinking about dating and stuff like that. Like, I'm not interested in dating at all. Like, right now, I'm just interested like in myself, like me. And I'm just like, for me, when I'll know I'll be ready for marriage when I love myself, I'm fully established, and like, like I'm not stressed, because right now, like I'm so stressed on life. I'm just like, I don't have time for men. Like I don't have time to experience my first relationship. Like I don't have time for that. So I'm just like, and I feel like that goes for like even Men on Love Is Blind. Like, do not go on the show if you can't provide. So like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to like put
You
the
mean for
words right.
yourself? You mean for yourself? Provide for
Yeah, for myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we were just trying to clarify that.
Yeah, because you sound like you're trying to provide for a man, and that wasn't it. But let me step back. Let the ladies talk to Vanessa for a few minutes. Let's me and Sean decenter ourselves, and let the ladies give the advice that she needs, because I think she needs a few more minutes with the ladies. I'll sit and Seaway talk to our good sister Vanessa, because
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's what Sean said, and I think it's what El Cid said. I think what Sean said, I think for me and for a lot of the women that I know who got married but weren't trying to actively get married, it just happened. It's because we were living full lives, doing the things that made us happy, and then we naturally attracted people who were naturally attracted to our energy and what we were trying to contribute to society. But on the other hand, just, for the stories I think Elson and I both probably can say of our friends, of our, of people who are not in that situation, you also have to be mindful that while you're on that journey, that you're leaving yourself open and trying to practice dating and practice, the whole process, because when you do wait till you're done with all the things, sometimes you are searching on the clearance rack with people who are Tylers with 5 kids and a whole lot of baggage. So I think it's a little bit of both. Men have a little bit more time. As women, I think I used to think like you, like Vanessa. I wasn't thinking about no man at 20. I wasn't thinking about a man at 25. But then it looks like something happens at like 27 where everyone starts to have a panic attack. It's like a weird shift, and you're like, where did the time go? And then they say, dag, I wish somebody would have told me that I should have been looking out at 25 instead of just running the streets. So I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just telling you, being on the other side, there's some people who feel like they waited a little bit too long to leave themselves open. But if I had to pick advice, I would say be your full self. Don't be one of these women who live your life searching for a man. Everything you do is in search of a man, because the only type of man you're going to get is the ones who are preying on desperate women. So that's definitely what you don't want to do. And definitely try to be self-sufficient, like you're saying. Go to finish your school, be self-sufficient, because having your own money and your own accomplishments will also get you away from men who try to yield their money to take advantage or to control. So that's pretty much. And then other than what I said, make sure you're listening and being mindful.
Oh yes, I'm listening.
Yeah. Always listen, be mindful, be aware. Elsie, go ahead.
It's a balance. It's a balance of your education. And as I said, recognizing if your person may come along or may not come along. You know, it's not about a sprint, it is a marathon. And if you are looking for that forever person, then it is going to take a while. It didn't take you, 2 months to get your degree, did it? It's going to take you a while. It's going to take you a while, and you'll have to go through the paces with that person. It will take you a while to see them in different aspects of your life. It will take a while for you to experience different phases of yourself and with them. Again, also protect yourself. Protect yourself physically and protect yourself emotionally. Make sure that what you need is, you got to be a little selfish. Not fully selfish, but definitely a little selfish. You got to make sure what you need and what you want to grow is going to be a part of this relationship. Because I tell you, my husband, who's now just walked in the room and sitting down, he knows where I want to go in my career. He knows. He knows how far and wide I want to take my career, and he's supportive of that. Now, I couldn't be with someone who isn't supportive, but the good thing we had is communication. Before you put this ring on this finger, this is how I see my life. And he's like, this is how I see my life. And then we come together. So you have to also be open to communication and be open to listening a whole lot. Because I'm telling you, people tell you a whole lot more by how you see them, how they say things, not only what they say, but they tell you and tell all their business by you just observing them.
I love that, ladies. Thank you so much. Listen, our 3 hours is coming to the tipping point. No, it's right, Vanessa. Listen, you know what? I ain't gonna lie to you. I was playing with you. When you told me you were 20, I said, no, we got to take this seriously. So I really appreciate the ladies, El Cid and Seaway, and Sean also, inputting into you. I really appreciate the ladies, also just talking to the ladies as well and just really helping her, along the journey as well. And I hope that it doesn't always click in straight away. I was 20, and it doesn't always click in straight away, but it's good advice. It will eventually click in. Do you know what I mean? So we appreciate you, Vanessa, for being able to take it in and listen and just sit down and hear some of the advice that the ladies have given you as well. So look, our time is up. We will be back on Saturday. I'll try and bring some special guests with me on Saturday, as well as my glorious panel already. I promise not to debate Sean anymore about the Ramsay situation. I think we've done twice. We've done 2 rounds already.
What's
so
Saturday, Coach? What is Saturday?
Huh?
What is Saturday?
The actual panel. This is not meant. This is an impromptu. I told El Cid 1 hour, and we just got chopping into it. You know what I mean? I ain't told a lie in a long time, El Cid. Come on, man. I've been telling you 1 hour. I've been on point.
This wasn't gonna be no hour anyway because it wasn't realistic.
But you know what it is? I was trying to do a quick one, a quick hot one, and it just
every
exploded.
time Kojo say a time, it never is that time. So he's gonna be late or he's gonna be there longer than usual.
Him and time are arch enemies, so they always battle it, and time usually loses.
That's talking, Sean. Both of y'all be battling time different ways.
Oh, I have a battle with time too. I just be,
I love a good tussle.
But you know what, Kojo? Can we just say that since Sean's been on his journey, I don't think I've argued with him once. So there is.
Listen,
and I argue with him all the time.
I can't wait for that next argument to take place. It's gonna be messy as flip.
Oh, please don't. Because when we argue, we can be
I mean,
we have one argument a year, and we had it already. We
had our year. Yep.
First quarter, and that's it. She's been to New York, visited. We had a fantastic time. No, our friendship is intact. I cast that. I rebuke it.
Rebuke
Okay.
You're
it.
telling
fair
me
enough.
not to come. You're telling me not to visit.
I'll say you don't tussle no matter what, but you and me don't tussle like Seaway and I tussle, boy.
Because that tussle
No.
be tussling. The earth be shaking when you lot tussle. It be like Hancock. I mean, the world just begins to shake.
We actually get mad for real. And call it, I don't
For
know.
real, for real.
And it has legs. It just takes
Yeah,
legs.
it just takes
Kojo
over.
gets pulled in. Jay gets pulled in. No.
Sean said, no, not this year. You ain't gonna pull me in.
I need my stress level
But-
in right here.
But you know,
in
but you
this
guys
space.
know, if you know how life is, where people they just throw people away. If you done cuss somebody out a good time, they done cuss you back, and y'all work it, y'all figure it out that y'all are meant to be.
That's it.
Okay, because half the time
Real
people cuss
friendship.
people out and they throw them away. So, you know, if you can try that.
Oh my gosh.
No.
No, it's real good tussles, and I love the fact you two are in that also on that journey as well. You're having tussles since, so I'm gonna keep it that way. I will fight for you instead, Sheba. Don't worry. But you know, listen, it's been a good conversation. Right or wrong, left or right, up or down. Ramses, Tyler, whichever one, whoever you think you're gonna support in this situation. Also, please, I'm just saying this. Maybe I'll do a bit about this. But I'm sick of. I'm just saying, from a UK perspective, the Christian community keep talking about this Trump versus Kamala. I think both of them. It doesn't matter who you vote for. Can you just vote for Jesus first? I just want to say that.
Wrong
Yeah, I'm just gonna
road.
say
Now
that.
you acting like Phil
saying.
yesterday.
I'm just
Stay
saying.
across
I'm
the
sick of.
line.
I'm sick of telling people using the Bible as a way of trying to prove which person they're going to choose. Please choose who God would actually want you to choose, which is choose Jesus first. That's it. Because I feel like you guys be using Jesus as a political figure, and he's not a political figure.
What are you talking
Stick
about?
to the queen. Stick to the.
You about to be on
stick to
here
the
another
monarchy.
hour. You about to
Kojo
be on
does
another
not.
hour.
I'm being real. Look, I saw a video.
Kojo cannot vote.
I'll do it behind the scenes conversation.
Mute.
I'll do it behind the conversation.
Mute.
But the beef
No.
don't make sense when you
No.
include Jesus in it.
Mute.
No. I'll talk about it behind the scenes, but the beef don't make sense when Jesus is
I
involved in
haven't
it.
seen God related to neither one of them, so I don't know what you're talking about.
No, not them too. I'm talking about Christian creators, not them. There are Christian content creators, a lot of them, who are choosing sides and saying Jesus is saying who, and I'm saying to you, no, Jesus is not saying anybody.
Y'all
If
be
Jesus hasn't told you
talking
who,
about Jesus, but y'all be lying on Jesus all the time. It has
that's what
nothing,
I'm trying to say.
it has nothing to do with Trump or Kamala.
So say, am I a Trumper? I'm not anybody. I'm
Kamala-
not anybody that doesn't love Jesus.
I'm just saying,
Kojo
y'all
cannot vote. Kojo cannot vote.
ignore what Kojo
I
talking
can't
about.
vote. I mean, from
But I'm
UK.
just talking about y'all be talking about Jesus told y'all to do this, Jesus told y'all to do that, and I've been saying Jesus ain't said none of that.
That's
So-
what I'm saying. I'm not saying who to choose for. I'm saying I just want people to stop using Jesus as a way of trying to get a political vote. And I'm talking about content creators actually doing this, using Jesus as a way that Jesus told me that.
Thank you
No,
for
Jesus ain't telling nothing.
clarifying.
That's all. Yeah. I'm not. I don't care who you choose. I'm not there. I'm in UK, isn't it? We've got our own problems. They're releasing criminals right now, so I got my own issues to deal with on this side of the pond.
What y'all,
So
y'all
let me feel.
but didn't what's
They're
the
releasing criminals on this side of the pond. They're releasing criminals early, and I'm talking about hardened criminals. So we'll talk about that later.
Where?
Anyway, listen.
Y'all ain't got no pals over there. What y'all even be doing? What's the crimes y'all
Listen, we doing some wild things on this side. That's what I'm gonna say. We'll talk about it behind the scenes. You
Somebody
get
run
me?
after me with some scissors. That was about it. I said, "This is all y'all got going on over here. We got real problems over here."
We've got real issues on this pond. But let me let Sean do this benediction. Sorry. Benediction, do your benediction, Sean. You know me, my bad. This is what happens when I take over the benediction. I start talking about things I shouldn't talk about. Go on.
How you gonna do that? I can't. I'm just totally. You dropped that at the end. So yes, we had a great conversation tonight. Some agreed, some disagreed. The challenges, as always, with relationships, look in the mirror. The mirror is you, and work on yourself. Make sure your actions are not being dictated by the other person in the relationship, but they are being dictated by you. You are looking to let go of those things which hold you hostage, which allow you to continue in Delulu sometimes. That could be Ashley, pick your choice. That could be Ramses, that could be Marissa, that could be Tyler. But we all need to be willing to let go of those things that are keeping us from being progressing. And that's most important. And last but not least, we all need to unpack our childhood trauma. Sometimes our parents and the people that brought us up are the root causes of some of the issues that we have. But once we become adults, we are responsible. We are responsible for changing those cycles, changing those patterns, identifying those things that we learned, which are not healthy, and doing better. Back to you, Coach.
Thank you very much, Sean. Nice and swift. Appreciate you. Listen, audience members, don't do anything I wouldn't do. There's not much I wouldn't do. Clearly, as you saw how the way I ended the show. All right, listen, we're gonna appreciate y'all. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you tomorrow. I've got a couple of lives I got to do tomorrow. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, and then we'll see you Saturday as well. All right. So much love, much appreciation. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Ta-ra, 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 ta-ra.